up, Slayers? Frankie Provolone here with Slay Nation Tournament Fishing, and welcome back to a new episode of Slay Station. What's going on, y'all? Hope everybody's doing well. All right, let's see. We got Jake Stem in the comments. Hey, we've got a really fun show tonight. We got our friends from the Paddle and Fin podcast joining us tonight. We've got a few, all right, of our guests. And the main man there, I see him in a waiting room. Perfect. His his Wi-Fi is working, right? The guys in the background will get that later on, Bri. You'll hear about that later. But hey, if you're just tuning in, all right, please like, share, all that great stuff. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to pick up our numbers there and kind of, get that thing going. But if you're on Facebook, please grant StreamYard permission to use your name. Otherwise, comment, write your name in so we know who's talking. All right. And YouTube, right? I see you up there. We got, it says Facebook user. So I have no idea. I just see a big woo, but right. Put your name in there. Jack Tibbins in the house. Jack Tibbins. Congratulations. Second place finish today. KBF, right? Trail event series from Connecticut, and third place Ryan Nye, both Connecticut Renegades in the KFL. So congratulations, boys. James Johnstone in the house. That's another Connecticut Slayer right there. Awesome. But listen, we hope everybody's doing well, staying healthy, positive. And tournament season is upon us for the majority of people, right? And some Northerners, we're traveling down south to the warmer weather to get on some open water. So listen, before we get started, hey, brought to you by Outdoorsman Coffee. That's right. Caffeinate, motivate, dominate your day. And you know it, Slayer Select. Here it is. Go check out outdoorsmancoffee.com. French roast, Italian roast. It does light, medium, dark roast, whatever you like. All right. Whole bean, get it ground, right? It doesn't matter what you like. They have everything you need. And veteran-owned organization, right? But we have, hey, you know it. We got Slayer Select, Slay Nation blend. It's like a donut shop blend, okay? Great morning, afternoon, or night. And go check it out on outdoorsandcoffee.com. Save 15% off with our code SLAY15. All right? OCC. And give us a follow on Instagram. Next, hey, RoboHawk. Where the hell's my tether? RoboHawk. That's right. Proud sponsor of Slay Nation. This weekend, started yesterday actually, 20% off weekend sale. That ends tomorrow night. Let me pull up. I'm just going to add, oh my God, I couldn't, it didn't save. So anyway, use our code SLAY weekend for 20% off. Protect your investment, right? I have my phone here. I could show you, but really all you're going to do is put these this is the phone tether, right? I have a Samsung, put it over. I don't have a big ass iPhone. Phone tethers, gear tethers, whatever your needs are, pop it on, right? Carabiner it to your life vest, to your your belt buckle, whatever, belt loop, and take care of your phone, especially for us CPR format anglers. We're close quarters of the water. All right. Our percentage of dropping that phone in the water is extremely high. So protect your investment, protect your gear. Go check out robohawk.us and use code SLAYWEEKEND. All right. For 20% off. That ends tomorrow. All right. What else? Hats are coming in this week, y'all. Slay Nation hats. We got the tricolor Richardson 112s coming in. Once they're in, I'll post them on the website. I'm going to give my directors first dibs. All right. And then we'll open it up to the public, but that'll be on our Slay Nation tournamentfishing.com website. So stay tuned. Got some dope hats. Can't wait. Let's see in the house. Jake Stem, Jacob Bueno, Facebook user, Stephen Davis. Ooh, Davis Custom Rods in the house. What's up? Lots of woos. But hey, let's get our guests on. We got the crew from Paddle and Fin podcast. If you aren't listening to fishing podcast, I suggest you do so. Go on Spotify, iTunes, all the popular platforms, and check out Paddle and Fin. Go check out Bass and Brews. Go check out Cast and Crank podcast, Ike Live show, all that, all these great stuff. If you're a fish head, go listen to it. The kayak industry is booming. There's tons of great podcasts to listen to. So go check it out. You're going to learn something one way or another, or just some great conversations. And so let's bring in the head honcho, Brian Schiller, Sean Lavery, Armando Sola, Chris Slifka, Chris, your last name always drives me nuts, dude. How the hell do you get Slivka at a WXYZ elemental P, dude? Like, I look at, like, I have friends the same thing. I'm like, how the frig did they come up? Like, your parents must have made that shit up, dude. How do you pronounce XYZ? A f sound. What's up, boys? How we doing? What's up, Jack?
We're doing good.
Awesome to be on. Thank you.
That's right. What's up, Brian? You made it, dude. You made it. So
Yeah,
sorry, man. I've been at the Indiana Boat Travel and Sports Show all day, and I needed to get myself a burrito. And I was like, looked at the phone, and I was like, oh crap, I got to get on a podcast. I go live in 2 minutes, and Armando's like texting me, "Are you getting on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm coming. I'm sorry, man." So,
oh man, nice. Yeah, Chris, we were backstage before the show started, and just chit chatting and whatnot. And Chris is like, "Yeah, I think his wife is bad or something." And we're all, I thought he said wife, and we're like, "Wait, wife is what?" And then he's like, "No, Wi-Fi." We're like, "Oh, that changes the game."
Yeah, this is like podcast number 6 of the week for me. 6 or 7, but like I tried doing one from the hotel Thursday night, and like my Wi-Fi was horrible, so I had to do it from my phone. So it works, man. It works.
Whatever phone you got, that picture quality is banging right now. Like, it looks.
I don't know, man.
Clear,
I'm probably breaking all your cammers with this ugly mug.
Dude, don't worry. You see this nose and ears? There's barely enough room on a screen for this. Right, dude?
Some red light. Are you in the red light district in Indiana?
No, I got my visor light on, so like you guys can see me, because
smart.
The dome light isn't very well. Actually,
right, that's a great tip for anybody who does a podcast in the car. Turn on. You're totally right. Sometimes you just see darkness. All right, well, listen up. I appreciate you all hopping on. I know some members of the Paddle and Fin crew could not hop on tonight, and that's totally understandable. If they happen to pop on, that'd be terrific, because I'd love to hit everybody, all the different segments and all the different areas of the country that y'all are in.
Sure.
But you know what? We got who we got on here, and we're going to have a good time. And so what I'd like to do is, anybody listening, anybody watching, is probably going to be, there's going to probably be a lot of new listeners, all right, about and learning about Paddle and Fin, because I'm looking at the majority of the viewers, and I already know they're like John boat guys, right? They're John boat guys. They're not your typical kayak anglers. So this is really good. I can't wait for them to listen to your episodes and hop on the bandwagon, because I think they're going to have a good time listening to all your different segments. But let's do a round robin. We'll start with Brian, then we'll go to Sean, Armando, and Chris, and just introduce yourselves. Right, you could tell us what state you're from, and your affiliation with Paddle and Fin, the segment you host, and all that stuff. So, Brian, why don't you kick us off, man?
Yeah, man. Brian Schiller. I'm from the Illinois-Wisconsin border. I've been fishing my whole life, but really fell in love with kayak fishing in 2018, and that's when I had started Paddle and Fin with a good friend of mine. It was all based off of, sharing our experience. Like, we had a rough time finding a lot of good information back then. Kayak fishing is somewhat of a new sport. And we were like both fans of podcasts. So we were like, hey, man, how cool would it be to start our own podcast, kind of like document our journey? Never thought anybody would listen to it. And it's just kind of grown from there. We started doing an episode once every 2 to 3 weeks. Then we went to every week. And now we've got, I don't even know, these guys could probably tell me better than I could, but I think we got like 13 or 14 segments, and we release a new episode 7 days a week. Sometimes there's 2 episodes a day. Like it all depends on, whose week is up, because some of our shows go every other week. Some of them are every week. But when we started it, my co-host Jay Randall, who replaced the guy I started it with, we were like, dude, how cool would it be to do like a collab? And we brought on like 2 segments, and that's kind of spiraled off and grown from there. Now we reach all anglers of all different levels. And I know you mentioned John boat guys. Like, we do focus a lot on kayak fishing, but it's mainly fishing in general. Like, you'll hear about Sean's segment. He talks about techniques and fishing. Like that translates across the whole board, not just kayak
Yeah.
fishing. So it's been really cool, man. It's been pretty amazing, and we continue to grow. Like I get the question all the time, like, what's the end game? And I'm like, well, who said anything about the end game? Like we just continue to grow and add segments and stuff like that. And it's cool because, like I said, we educate all levels, all anglers. I think all of us together could agree, like our main goal is to get people on the water and enjoy that time on the water, have a better time, more success. They're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their friends. And now we got this whole huge family of people out on the water, which is just awesome.
Yeah. I agree. Like when I think of paddle and fin and all, like, the Swiss Army knife that y'all are, right? And you got all these different stems. It's similar to like what we do at Slay Nation, right? We don't just cater to one community, right? We got kayakers, john boaters. Now we have little, people that are fishing with outboards, the bank lady slayers, the youth. And like that's exactly what paddle and fin is. You cater to a multiple, diverse community, and where it's the center, the hub is fishing, right? It doesn't matter what you're fishing off of or where you're fishing, but the center of it all, right? The nucleus is fishing in general. And I mean,
absolutely.
Like if you're a diehard fish head, like you're listening to podcasts, you're taking information right from Sean's segments and you're trying to apply it. That's what fishing's about, is like, is learning every day. And that's the best thing about fishing. It's never ending. You know what I'm saying? There's a new technique or something that you want to try out. And it's like, that's what makes it so fun. That's why it's like being a kid, collecting new Lego sets and stuff. How popular has Lego's always been? It's been here for years. And fishing, same thing. It's like, it's never ending, man. It's awesome. All right, cool. So Brian's the head honcho. Sean, you're up.
All right. Sean Lavery. I hail from central Pennsylvania, about 15 minutes from the Susquehanna. Super blessed to live right there next to Smalley Heaven. But and shout out to Jake Stem. I see in the comments. I'll definitely check it out, bud. Awesome to see PA represented. But I am the host of the Bass Fishing for Noobs show. I've been blessed to be with Paddle and Fin for 2 years now, I think.
Awesome.
So, and my show, basically, we focus on techniques and tricks and tips. Basically, from the beginning angler, we kind of start out with, explaining, things at a super high level, and then, dial into the details just to try and, learn the ins and outs of techniques. So it really does, like Brian said, I'm a kayak fisherman, but I think the tips and techniques that we go over really can relate to fishing in general. So I think it, definitely that, that's kind of what we target. So.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. PA. We got a bunch of slayers in PA. They were, today, Jake Stem, Slay Ray, that's like my right-hand guy. He does all of our jerseys and he directs our small vessel series. And then Eric Slinsky, he's a big boat guy, but he's also a Slay Nation member. They went to the Cabela's in, I think it was Harrisburg. I don't know if there's I think
a little north of Harrisburg, I think.
Yeah. They set up a table, set up shop, and all that stuff. They had a good time today. So I think they're tired from standing up for like 6 hours. Like that expo feel, but just not as busy.
Oh, dude.
6 hours ain't nothing.
Yeah. I feel like I need to ice my knees down right now from standing on concrete for 14 hours.
Oh, I know you guys are like 6 hours. Get the hell out of here with that. Oh, that's funny. Nice. All right, let's go to Armando.
What's up, Frankie?
What's up, my man?
I feel like I have to do an introduction to like AA, like my name is Armando Solano. I know. No, but really, my name is Armando Solano. I moved from Puerto Rico 11 years ago. Fell in love with bass fishing here in Texas. Really wanted to learn more about bass fishing because to me, it's one of the most challenging fish to catch. It's not easy. Involves a lot of technique, a lot of knowledge. And I started doing the podcast, interviewing people. And the main reason why I started the podcast is to get to talk to people that that really know how to do kayak fishing and bass fishing. That was the main goal. Honestly, I couldn't care if anybody listened to it or not. I just wanted to talk to people that really knew how to bass fish so I could learn, kind of like indirect way of asking them questions. getting that knowledge. And I guess the sincerity out of it kind of came out. A lot of people liked it. Brian reached out to me. I was a huge fan of Paddle and Fin and of other kayak fishing podcasts, KBN, Paddle and Fin, Bass Talk, a lot of them. And I listened to a whole bunch of it because I really wanted to know knowledge. One of the first episodes that I listened to was Bass Fishing for Noob before Sean got in there. Ryan Milford was running that show. And I remember the day that Sean started, I was just coming out of the lake out of a tough day fishing, and just listening to those guys talk about fishing got me the idea of making a segment of teaching people how to kayak fish, but not with my knowledge, but having a guest over. So I got a copy out of them. I had two segments. One was the real life, which is just talking to tournament anglers about, what it takes to fish in tournaments and what their life was like. And then the kayak fishing 101, which is talking about tips and techniques. Finally, I had the call from Brian Schiller to come join Paddle and Fin. I was all in, and I've been there for about a year and a half. So shortly after Sean got in there, I got in there a couple of months later. So family since then.
Yeah,
nice. Nice. Yeah. It's always a good crew, man. I love this crew. And Chris, you're up, dog.
Yeah,
the noob of the group.
The real noob of the group. Chris Slifka, even though you guys don't agree with it.
I don't agree with it. It's
Slywaka.
That's how you pronounce it the first time on the first live stream.
I know.
But yeah. So it's Chris Slifka, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. And I'm the host of the Mindset Podcast, where we talk about the mindset of the angler. Basically, and it relates to boat anglers too, just like kayak anglers. And I've had boat anglers on there to where, making sure your head's right during the tournament, before the tournament, and asking people how they get prepared mentally for a big event. Other than just talking about, rods, techniques, lures, there's a whole mental side that goes into that.
Absolutely.
And I've been doing it for, I want to say, about 9 months now. We're close to it, because I think my first one was in June. It was the first episode that aired.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But
nice.
I say thank you to Brian almost every week, man.
He's a little baby. He's a little baby. He's a little newbie of the group.
I thought Shane was the new baby.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Shane.
Yeah.
Sorry. Chris has grown up so fast. Shane's the baby.
Oh, that's funny. Nice. Awesome. I love it. And Paddle and Fin was the very first podcast that Slay Nation was invited on. That was back with Sam Jones and Dan when they were running a segment. That was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I'll never forget. I was nervous as hell. I was like, I'm going to be interviewed on a podcast. I could talk, but I've never been on a podcast before in front of people. And that was, it's close to my heart. I appreciated that, and I think that's what, and I think that's what podcasters do, man. You give people an opportunity to talk about their passion and their stories and share. And, everything that I'm hearing from everybody, it's all about connection, right?
Yeah.
It's all about connection. And the crazy thing is we're all connected to the same damn thing, a slimy green fish or slimy. It's friggin' nuts. It's so nuts how that damn fish has connected so many different people. But it's also so fun.
Well, it's funny, man. Like, I get the question all the time, or I used to get comments, I should say, because we've been doing the Paddle and Fin since 2018, and like a new podcast would pop up and it was like, oh, so-and-so started a podcast. Are you worried about that? And I'm like, why would I be worried about that? Like, the more information that we get out there, because like somebody may not like or understand the way I explain something or approach an interview with somebody compared to the way Armando does it, or Sean or Chris, the more information, the better. Like I said at the beginning, man, like my end goal, and I'm pretty sure all of us agree, like the end goal is to get more people outside enjoying fishing and sharing our passion, what we all love. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree
yeah.
with that.
Absolutely. But it's also cool that everybody has different segments, because sometimes, I've been on a few of the different segments, but, the interviewee or the interviewer, everybody has their own different style, which will draw a different answer from that same person, right? You get a different
Yeah.
side of the story. And, for example, like if I'm talking to y'all, I might not have touched on something, or I maybe didn't ask the question in the correct, context, and then someone else does, and you're like, oh crap, I learned something different about the same
Yeah.
tournament or the same person. It's like, it's really cool to have that, because everybody has their own style, and you're going to cater to, you're not going to cater to everybody, right? Like, how I know, I get it, someone might not like this, but they like how this person is doing it. And even though it's the same damn thing, it's just style or whatever. And that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Everybody, go ahead.
It's real interesting, and like I experienced it firsthand this weekend, like working at the boat show, and I know some of these guys have had the same experience running into anglers on the water. Like, somebody that listens to Paddle and Fin will come up and be like, dude, I listen to all the shows, it's awesome, like I learned so much. Or they'll be like, yeah, I listen to you and Bass Fishing for Noobs and Bass Kayak and Beers. Like, that's the thing, we offer so much. Like, it's almost too much to consume just all in one person. But like our fans and our listeners, I guess I should say, they latch on to certain people sometimes, or they take
Yeah.
it all in,
Yeah.
which is cool. It's awesome to see that. And like, I don't care if nobody listens to me, but if they're listening to Sean and it's making like a better trip out on the water, or Armando talking about to an angler that has just an amazing story. Like some of the interviews that Armando's done, I'm like, dude, I wish I would have asked that question if I talked to somebody,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he does a really good job. Like,
Yeah.
Armando does a great job diving into like a person's life other than the time on the water, which I think helps tell the story of the angler, and same thing with Chris. Like I've been on his segment before, and like, I've said it a million times, when it comes to tournament fishing, my mental game is horrible. I just mind the shit out of myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but like listening to what other people do, like it's helped me. It's helped me dramatically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
along with all the other guys, like I
Yeah.
love catching up, like with the Reel Down guys doing tournament recaps and stuff,
Yeah.
that's cool too. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, and we even got a hunting episode that
Yeah.
pertains to hunting out of boats or kayaks or, whatever too. So like, we reach all the avid sportsmen all across the board, which is cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to add to that, if I may, it's every one of us, we would love, we don't get us wrong, we love to get sponsors and make some money out of it, but we really are here for the community, for the growth of
Yeah.
the community. That's number one. Rest of it is just icing on the cake, and it shows in the passion. Brad Hurleboss with his feather and fur, and Brian can tell you exactly when the show comes out. I mean, his passion for hunting
Yeah.
really comes through on his interviews with hunters and huntress. Same thing with Brad Hicks and Trash
Josh.
Panda Joshua Eldridge. When they do a product review, they you can tell they're invested in tell us what this product is, how we can use it. Same with oh my god, with so many of us. Same with Dustin Nichols, Doodoo, which
Saltwater, dude.
saltwater fishing. I mean, he's so passionate about it. So we really are, we would love sponsorships and all that, and some of us have it, and Paddle and Fin has its own sponsorships, but we really are here to help other people get into it. We really are here because we love it.
Yeah.
And we have a passion for
Yeah,
it. We want to share
absolutely.
that passion. And if other people can benefit from it, then that's the best thing. That's the best gratification we can have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was about money, we would have quit a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
There ain't
But
nobody getting paid, you know?
No, we all wish, we all can dream.
Yeah.
But you know, and I think sometimes that's like when you start something organically and you're not looking for the riches and you're not looking for this, you know, this kind of like acceptance from everybody else in the industry. I feel like when it's natural, you know,
Yeah.
things are going to fall into place naturally as well. You know what I mean? Because listen, I think we all know, like when we follow somebody or we hear someone talk or we're listening to a guest on another podcast, whatever it might be, you can tell genuinely when someone is really into what it is we're all talking about, or like if they're just really trying to be this person to hop on every pro staff you know, opportunity
Yeah.
there is. Like, you know, there's a big difference there. And I think, you know, any advice for anybody listening that's, and I'm going to ask this question next, like anybody trying to do whatever you're trying to follow, I don't care if it's knitting or pottery, do it because you love it. Everything else will fall in place because you're not going to think twice of, oh, I gotta make sure I tag this company, or, you know, or I gotta make sure I do. Just do you, you know, put your product out there, right? Just share it because you'll inspire someone, but you're also naturally you'll get noticed. You know, it's just the way it is. And I think longevity shows that, right? We all have seen things come and go, and that's going to happen, right? I mean, let's be honest. Right now, there's a lot of different podcasts just popping up. Everybody's like, people think this is not like this isn't meant to be a podcast, really, but it was more meant to just highlight all of our tournament stuff. But our tournaments, we just started. You know, we have, you know what I mean? So when we pick up our tournament scene, I'll have more to talk about. But I also wanted to make it a platform to just talk to, you know, supporters in our community, other businesses, sponsors, you know, highlight our anglers. But you know, for me, it's just fun. I just like doing it. I like talking, and I like talking to people that I like. But I think, you know, what advice would you give someone? I guess we'll just concentrate on podcasts. Like, what is some advice you would give somebody if they want to start a new podcast? What are some tidbits y'all have learned or you can give that might help somebody kind of, you know, stick around, right? And it's not, they don't do it for 2 or 3 months and then poof.
Yeah, there's some kind of statistic out there, like most podcasts don't make it past episode 12. Like, there's millions of podcasts out there, and a lot of them don't even make it to episode 12.
And a lot of them are really good. And they just stop doing it.
And I think, like I said at the beginning, right, when we started paddling, and like we never thought anybody would listen to it. And for a little bit there at the beginning, we were like, holy crap, 50 people listened to this episode. And it was like, holy crap, 150 people listened to this episode. Yeah. You got to kind of put the numbers thing aside. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now it's like hundreds of thousands. I shouldn't say hundreds of thousands. It's like hundreds to 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 plays episode. Like, you know, that's huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I've always said, and I said it on a recent podcast, like if I change one person to get outside and like fishing, I achieved my job.
Yeah.
If you have a goal like that in mind, rather than trying to be Insta famous or podcast famous or the next Guggen squad or whatever it may be, and you stay true to yourself and just go ahead and do it. If you're thinking about doing it, do it. Like, there's so many people, and I think all of us have talked to people where, and I know I've had conversations where Armando was like on the fence about doing his podcast, and he got a push from one of the friends of ours, Josh.
Josh
Smith.
Josh Smith. Yeah, no, it was Josh Smith.
Dark Waters.
He was like, dude, when are you going to do this podcast? Just put it out there, you know?
Well, yeah.
And he finally did it, you know, and it's like, I remember the first episode I did, I was like, and I'm like, we should edit the crap out of this because I sound like an idiot, but just go ahead and do it, man. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks. Don't worry about what you sound like. Like, I used to hate the sound of my voice, and now I'm like, I go back and listen, and I'm like, I sound all right, you know? Like, don't think about that stuff, because that's what really screws people up is they're more worried about what the outside world thinks and what they think of them, you know, the sound of themselves,
Yeah.
Get past it, and you'll be fine. You'll go wherever you want to go. Just work hard and just do it. You know what I mean?
It's that middle school, high school mentality, right? When
Yeah.
we
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want to be the actor in the play because we think everybody's gonna make fun of us or they're gonna judge you. Like you're gonna get to a point in your life where you're gonna say, "Screw y'all!" Like I don't
Yeah.
care what you
Yeah.
know. And I know it's hard for younger people to do that, right?
Sure.
With nowadays, every judgmental, judging is a bad pickle to say now, but yeah, I totally agree. You just got to do it and screw it. You got to whatever. You're gonna fall on your face. Who cares?
Yeah.
Laughing at yourself. If you could laugh at yourself, nobody can ever make fun of you. No one can ever make fun of you if you're laughing at yourself. What are they gonna do? You're gonna be like, I laugh. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like the best advice I can give everybody. If you can laugh at yourself and make fun of yourself, no one can ever bust your chops.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dude, you're late to the train, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
But how about the rest of y'all, right? Especially, Brian's been doing this, obviously the longest. What would some of y'all say since, it's a little bit newer, right? Like what's some advice you would give to somebody new in the game?
You want to go in order, guys?
Yeah. I think, first of all, you hit the nail right on the head. Start with your passion. If you're passionate about something, I was like totally, worried about how I would sound and everything. But as soon as I started talking about fishing, something I'm passionate about, that stuff just flows. And I think you're 100% right. People can spot a fake from a mile away. So if you're trying to be someone you're not, it's going to sound terrible. But if you're talking about something you're passionate about, it's just going to flow and it's going to be natural and it's just going to work, and I think, obviously, when you first start out, you're going to be nervous. One thing I'd say is don't expect perfection because it's not going to happen. Yeah. You're going to mess up. You're going to say things, and like you said, if you can laugh it off, all the better, that's, I think one of the hardest things for me to learn was just to let those little things go and just, enjoy it, have fun. And, like Armando said, I started off saying, I just want to learn. That was why I got on this podcast, because I wanted to learn for myself and also for, to share that knowledge transfer from the people who had it to the people who don't. And I just felt like, the more naturally that flow happens, the more people were going to tune in and say, yeah, that's exactly. I had that same question, and now, I heard you answer it. And so now, that information's out there. I came from like not a lot of people around me that fish. So I didn't have a person I could go and talk to. Yeah. So, and now the amount of knowledge that I've got from this podcast is just, I can't even begin. I mean, that's what I've gained, and like Armando said, everything else that you get is just icing on top.
I agree. And I love that. I love that perspective. I think it's such a good perspective. Like I started this because I wanted to learn. And I think that's a great perspective because it's going to gauge you to ask better questions sometimes. Right. And I just feel like it makes for a better interview. And I think sometimes, like now that I know, like when you guys say, hey, I did this because I want to learn. Sometimes when I listen to your interviews, I can tell you're asking a question to teach yourself. And I think that's really good because there's a lot of listeners or viewers or anglers out there that are afraid to ask these questions. Like they want to act like they know where the fish are, they know how to read a fish finder, or they know how to use a bait caster when they really don't, because they don't want to feel like, oh, I hold my spinning rod upside down, which I got a great story about that. But I see all those. I got a great story about that.
I still use my Snoopy pole. I'm just saying.
See, I love it. Stick to your roots, Brian.
I got it lined up with 40-pound braid, dude. I'll smash all day.
Killing it.
See, I need a video on that, man. I need proof.
We need proof.
But I totally think that when you ask questions, sometimes from a me perspective, right? Like I just think that's so smart, and I think that actually, because more times than none, the listener is asking the same thing in their head, right? And then you touch on it. It's like, oh, damn. I'll never forget not one of the first, but I used to fish as a non-boater in the ABA here in Connecticut for like 7 years, right? I was the only non-boater in the trail. It was a draw trail. And I'd always hear the guys say, yeah, the fish are on here. I know where the fish are. They're on this. The fish are here. And I never knew how the frig they knew that. Like, how do you know the fish are there? I never understood that, right? Until I drew this guy, Chris Bueller. He works for Shimano now. He's high up. He was an awesome guy. He was sponsored by Lunker City. And we're on Candlewood Lake. That's our most popular lake here in Connecticut. And we're idling out, right? And he's like, all right, Frank. And he was a great guy. He's like, all right, Frank, I know there's a bunch of fish here on this hump. We're going to go hit this. And I had to stop and ask. I was like, he's going to think I'm stupid, but I don't care. I'm going to learn. And I'm like, Chris, how do you know the fish are on this? And he starts to laugh and he's like, good question. He's like, because I fished this lake for the last 20 years with my dad, so I know the seasonal pattern. He's like, I was out here pre-fishing, and he had, good electronics. And I was like, and he put me on a limit in the first 20 minutes of the tournament. And
That's cool.
I just thought, asking, to myself later on, I'm like, that night, I was like, I'm so glad I asked, because I would have never known what the hell he was talking about. I never would have learned if I didn't, ask. And it's the same thing like listening to a podcast is, Jack Tibbins put up there earlier, free education. Totally right. I mean, it really is. It is a free bass fishing education. Like, so I didn't want to go on a tangent there, but I just think starting something because you want to learn is such an awesome perspective. I think it's a more enriched show, as well. So how about Armando or Chris? How about you? Sean just gave his, advice to somebody new in the game. What would y'all give?
You can go first, Armando.
I think, first of all, if somebody that's trying to, thinking about going to podcast, know what you're in it for. Like, what are you doing this for? Understand what you're doing it for, first of all, because then you have a compass pointing north. This is what I want to accomplish with this. And then stay true to that. And don't pretend to be something that you're not. I've never pretended to be this knowledgeable person that I wanted people to look up to me, because I was not. I was just barely getting to know. And what I've learned was that people relate to what my situation is. Because keep in mind, a lot of people that are interested in this sport, and this sport, kayak fishing, is growing by leaps and bounds.
Oh, yeah.
90% of the people out there need help, and they're going to listen to you. Though usually the elites of the elites, the fishing, are not going to come to you to ask questions about how do you do kayak fishing. So understand what you are and what you want to accomplish, and stay true to yourself. Also, don't be afraid to give your opinion on things. I don't shy away from opinions. However,
we know.
We be it in a respectful manner, right? You don't want to create this clickbait on your show, on your brand, that people are going to know you because of the controversy behind what you're saying, because that doesn't help, and that fizzles out at the end of the day. That's only going to grow you so much in such a little time, and then it's going to fizzle out. So be yourself. Don't be afraid to, share your opinions, but at the same time, be open to listen and bring other people's guests. Understand, I do it for my guests. Like, you can tell I don't have my name on my podcast, and not criticizing anybody who does, but mine is Bass, Kayak, and Beers. It's just a couple of guys or girls just sitting down, opening a beer, and talking about how much we love kayak fishing and bass fishing. And that's it. And then bring something that the audience is not just you going to enjoy, but the audience is going to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Chris?
Yeah, well, for me, I've had the idea of the podcast for like 2 years. I was talking on Armando's podcast about it. And then I finally made the jump, talked to Brian about starting a podcast, and just happened to get lucky with a spot on Paddle and Fin.
Nice.
And that kind of, I wouldn't call it paying him. But yeah, well, he actually helped me make the leap. He went and he was my first guest on there. He helped me out with the first couple episodes and kind of got me over that curb of being scared to talk to people and being scared to hear my own voice. Like Brian said, when you first hear your own voice, you absolutely hate it. Man.
Absolutely. I still do.
Yeah.
I love your voice, Frankie.
I was going to say,
I tried to get like a voiceover thing one time. I swear to God.
Give me a woo.
I was like, whoa. That's about
why
it.
I love Frank right there.
That's about it.
Yeah.
And I lost my voice from basketball this morning.
Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's one piece of advice I would tell people is to do something that you love, even if you're talking about podcasts, and to do it for the right reasons. Don't be in it to make money. Like Brian said, none of us are making money doing this. We're doing it because we love it.
Yeah.
You know, and we learn a ton, just like Armando said. And I still learned on my podcast, and I'm the host of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Brian, I have a question. Like, do people, so when you have these different segments come on, do people reach out to you and say, hey, Brian, I have an idea for a segment for your show? Do you get that? Like, how does that work, dude?
It's happened numerous different ways. Like for instance, when Armando started, he had started his own podcast, and he was a few episodes in, and I was like, hey, bro, like, I love what you're doing. Like, I think it would be great if you joined us, man. Like, come join our platform, bring the audience you've built, plus you get the audience we already have, you know, we can all grow together, you know? And it was kind of the same way.
To the devil there.
Yeah. it was kind of the same way when Bass Fishing for Noobs started, right? Like Ryan Milford had actually reached out to me. He was like, hey man, I'm starting this podcast, and I was wondering if you'd be a guest on it. And he had recorded like an episode by himself. I think he was like 3 episodes in, and I was like, this is a genius idea, dude. Like, this would be an awesome fit for what we're trying to do, you know, as far as educating. So I said, hey, why don't you come over here, dude?
Yeah.
Whereas like Chris, you know, we hosted a tournament series last year. Chris was fishing it, got to know him, and we were talking one night, and he was like, you know, like, I've been thinking about starting this podcast. And he started asking me questions like, how do I go about doing this? And, you know, I was like, well, I could help you out with that, dude, you know? And and that's the thing too. Like, I've had a lot of people approach me over the years, like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Like, what program should I use to do this, or, you know, this or that, you know? And I'm an open book, man. I've helped a lot of guys start a lot of different podcasts and stuff, and even stuff outside of the fishing world too.
Yeah. You're like the Mark Jeffries, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I have had folks approach me and say, hey, man, I got a great idea for a segment. I think it would be great on Paddle and Fin. And, you know, usually we have a discussion about it, and then I bring it to the group. You know, like, that's one thing I've always tried to do, is not necessarily jump to conclusions and make these decisions. I know these guys here on the screen and all the other guys and gals that are involved with Paddle and Fin look at me as the boss, the term I hate, but I look at it as we're a family, dude, and we make
that's how it feels
together.
It totally does.
You know, I mean, me and Armando are like brothers, dude. We fight all the time, right? But at the end of the day,
we're gonna get to that later.
But at the end of the day, we love each other. But you know, like Shane Lamont, like he's the newest guy, and he already had a podcast, you know, Bass Thumbs Fishing, and it focuses on the West Coast scene, you know?
Yeah.
And I know Shane, he's a really good dude, like, got a big heart, very genuine. That was a no-brainer. He reached out to me, and he was like, hey, dude, my co-host, you know, is having a kid, buying a house, this and that. I'm solo. Like, would it be cool if I joined you guys in Paddle and Fin? And I was like, yeah, no-brainer. You fit right into the family, you know? Yeah. Whereas we've had discussions about other people and things, you know, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, we're pretty open, dude, you know, and it's got to be the right fit, you know, because you know how that is. You have one bad seed in the family, it disrupts the whole family, right?
Yeah.
So,
I agree. And I was going to ask that question. Did you ever have to say no? But you already said sometimes it works out, sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think like we've really turned many people down. I mean, there's been one or two that have like thrown some ideas where I'm like, sorry, man, we're already doing that. You know what I mean? Like, we already have a segment in that kind of realm of things. And I try to make it so we're not stepping on each other's toes. I mean, we do overlap some content, overlap some guests, things like that. And we try to keep it separated. I mean, how many bass fishing for noob shows can you have, right? Like, we had that instance, right? And we went to one. Because it made sense.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, dude. We try to cover all aspects of fishing, in a lot of the outdoors. Like right now, if somebody were to approach me about doing like a camping episode, like I'd be all over that shiznit. So,
oh hell yeah,
like that's something that a lot of kayak guys do, going to tournaments and stuff. So it's one of those things, man. Like we try to agree on things as a group. Sometimes we bicker and argue, like we talked about, and me and Armando are laughing about, but for the most part, dude, it's just one big family, and it's got to be a piece that fits into the puzzle, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I was always curious how that worked out with what you got going on, but you answered the question. I like it. So I guess next question I want to get to, and I'm not going to ask worst, obviously, but why don't you guys go around the horn? I'd love to hear your favorite interview. What has been your favorite interview? Or also, Brian, this could be for you. You might know the answer to this. What has been the all-time most viewed or listened to interview?
I couldn't tell you the most viewed or listened to. Like, that's the thing, like, because I get a lot of questions from these guys because I do all the uploading and stuff. So I'm the guy that like goes in and sees all the numbers and stuff.
Okay,
and
nice.
Most of our segments are pretty even. Sean has been like number one for a little bit, or for a while, I should say. but here's the thing, like Sean is teaching something. Those segments that teach you things, those are always going to be the most popular. Because people are coming for education. Some people may not want to hear like the life stories or something like that Armando does, or they're like, my mind's set, dude, mentally sound through and through come tournament day. But I mean, for the most part, they're pretty even keeled. I mean, I couldn't tell you overall, like, because we put all this stuff on YouTube, Facebook, all the major podcast platforms. So like, you have to go back and combine all those numbers. I can tell you, I think we're at like, what did I recently post up, guys? I think we're over 750,000 views overall.
Oh, damn.
Over all the platforms. Like we're right close to 1 million.
Nice.
But I mean, we've got over 830 episodes, I think, or something like that. But
holy shit.
That's
a lot.
Yeah. Most memorable interview, like all of them are good to me, dude.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I recently was asked.
Give me some juice. Give me some juice, Brian.
I was recently asked that question on a podcast Tuesday, actually. Different podcasts I do, but they're all good, man. Like, it's just cool. We got such an amazing diversity in the fishing world, and I take a little bit from each one of those, like, and I like talking to a lot of big companies, like head honchos. Like, I remember one that sticks out, right, is two that stick out. Luther Cypress, who owns Yak Attack and used to own Bonafide. Like, that was a cool interview to do, just to see how he works. Like, I love business, right? Like, I've always had like an entrepreneurial background. So like, that's always been cool to me. And then Blake Young, the owner of New Canoe, like those two stick out the most because both really good guys, both have done amazing things in the kayak fishing world. And I just loved how, they operate.
Yeah. Awesome. So, how about the rest of y'all? Give me some juice. Who's your favorite?
I know mine.
Come on, Chris. Who?
Mine would be Joshua David, just because he's kind of on that same playing field as me, where he could really go in depth with the mindset. It made for a really easy interview.
Okay.
I mean, they're all great, but he knows what he wants to talk about. He totally agrees with the whole mindset of everything.
There you go, Armando.
Yeah, no, I see it.
Armando,
was gonna say
I
it.
assume you know Jeremy, right?
Jeremy is a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. I love
Yeah.
Jeremy. He's
Armando
supportive of the
Armando
podcast.
definitely salivated a little bit during that interview.
Well, yeah,
No,
because
I-
look, there's other comments here too.
Yeah.
everybody says-
That's his man crush right there, dude.
No, Fluke Master was definitely one of my favorite ones because I really learned. This is me going on, and I'll try to keep it short. But when I moved to Texas, right, I kind of rekindled my love for fishing, which I used to do when I was young with my dad.
Yeah.
And I've never bass fished. So the way I really learned to bass fish at the beginning was watching Fluke Master's video. So I finally got him on the episode. But I've always wanted, and this is shout out to, and I don't know him personally, but Jake, I would have to look it up. Richard Penny and Jake Penny started, and
Yeah.
I don't know why it only lasted a couple of episodes, but they had a great episode, which is inspiration of what I do. It was called the Kayak Bass Fishing Podcast. And it was them interviewing the life of tournament anglers. And that, when I saw that they weren't doing it anymore, that's when I found my niche. And I really want to do this. That was all time one of my favorite kayak fishing podcasts. And I still don't know why they stopped doing it. And I don't even know Richard or Jake Penny. But anyways, so when I really wanted to bring Fluke Master, and I was so afraid they would say no and break my heart. But no, he said yes. Thank you, Sean. Sean had him first on the episode. And what I love about Gene Jensen was his bold honesty. Like, Gene Jensen is super tight with Chad Hoover and KBF, but he was not afraid to say what he felt was wrong and call out some things that I was taking back. And I really love his sincerity. And also, he dropped some juice on some techniques that I would have never thought. I'm like, I'm inside the mind of a genius here when it comes to kayak fishing. Kristen Fisher, I was nervous a little bit to bring Kristen Fisher because I know, as she should, being a woman, and let's be honest, sometimes it's unfair. A guy can go out and say a bunch of stuff that he shouldn't, and he's like, oh, he says it right. But a woman goes out and says his opinion, and she's like, well, she's what. And Kristen Fisher, I understand her struggles of trying to build the brand the right way organically and still protecting her name. She does it. It's the truth is, with guys, we can say a bunch of stuff and everybody's going to say like, yeah, he says it what it is. And, but it's different. So when I brought her in, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And I asked her, says, listen, I want to ask you some questions of stuff that you went through, not in your personal life, but how it affected you on the water. Because for those that do tournament fishing, know that she went through some stuff 2 years ago. And I was taken back how honest she was without going into personal stuff, but how it really emotionally affected her and how it affected her on the water in positive things. Like, it freed her mind in some things, but in other things, she was really down for the count, mentally. So I was really surprised with that episode. Not that I'm surprised that she's a great person, because she is, but just, her straightforward attitude of not being afraid to answer questions relating to, things that happened to her. And I love that episode too. And I mean, there's a whole bunch. I can go on and on about some of my favorite guests, but if I have to, say, that's two of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I agree. Those were good ones. Sean, how about you, man?
I have two. First, I'd say Jody Queen, just because if you didn't know him and didn't know that he was one of the best kayak anglers out there, he would be the guy you meet at the ramp and would just talk to you for an hour. Like, he is the most humble, down-to-earth guy, but also, when you talk about being an ambassador for our sport, he is a true ambassador for our sport. He brings people in with his integrity. He was in a tournament not too long ago, and he realized he screwed up didn't have something. I forget. Was it
his PFD?
And he disqualified himself. I mean, that's the kind of integrity that guy has. And, that if you don't know anything else about him, that should tell you all you need to know. He is just, the most genuine guy. And on top of that, he has so much knowledge and definitely knows what he's doing. So that was one of my favorite ones. And one of the other ones is Catherine Field. I know on Armando's show, I thought Armando's show with her was amazing. I kind of live vicariously through her. She is, all about, I'm gonna take this life and do what I want to. She's overcome so much stuff, and she's, you know, she throws it all out there. You know, this sucked, but you know, then I had this amazing day, and just to hear her story and her will to succeed is just amazing to me. So, you know, those are two of my favorite interviews that I've done. So
yeah, the cool thing about Kat is she tells it exactly how it is, right? The struggles, right? And a lot of times it is the struggle, but she also tells some amazing stories, like that one where she was on like this muddy road and she saw like a woman
save the lady. Yeah.
Like, what the frig? Like, not for nothing, I'm reading that whole post. And I really didn't know what she was going to say. I thought she was going to say like she had some like a spiritual encounter. And when she said she saw a hand waving or something, and I was like, what the frig? Like, I felt like I was reading a great novel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what she's really good with. She's really good at writing about her story. And I think that's why we all have fallen in love with her, because one, we all wish we could do what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like, frig, you kidding me, bro? Like, I want to go stay at Love's or whatever it is. Right?
Love's truck stops, man.
That's it. She needs to get a damn sponsor from them. Shit.
By the way, if you ever want to listen, you really want to learn Sean's interview with Jody Queen. If you want to learn kayak fishing, listen to not just Bass Fishing for Noob. Anytime you see Jody Quinn on a podcast, listen to him. That guy is a mind. It is amazing when he drops knowledge. I'm taking notes because that is, every time he's on a podcast, I'm like, I gotta listen to what he did.
Yeah, he's a good artist too. Yeah. He's artistically talented. Nice. So I know, right, other than the podcast, y'all got, right, you got Dale Hollow, right? You guys run your own events and stuff like that, right? Your own series?
Yeah, well, we're just running one event this year.
Okay.
Dale Hollow, Tennessee, April 2nd and 3rd. It's a 2-day event, $80. We got a mound full of stuff to give away. We got 2 other local Tennessee clubs involved in the event as well. If you sign up.
Is that an open event?
Yeah, it's open to anybody. No membership fee, nothing like that. No Tourney X fees, no PayPal fees. It's 100+% payback. If you sign up early, you get free camping at Eastport Marina, which is the venue location. And then he's also doing a free drawing. 6 people are going to get to stay in the houseboats there for free during the tournament.
Sweet.
We're working on some other fine details. I saw Richard this weekend here at the travel show, but it's going to be a good event. And with the other 2 clubs involved, I mean, I think you're going to see right around or a little over 100 anglers participating.
Nice.
So,
and this is your second year doing that, right? You did it last year as well, I believe, right?
Yeah. We did one small one, like, I think it was like the fall before that. We had a few like listeners of the podcast show up, and we did like a small little fun tournament. It was like nothing huge, and just got to hang out, you know, eat some food, listen to some live music, and that's what it's all about, man. It's more the community aspect than anything, but you know, it should be a really, really good time. We've set it up so this is going to be like an annual thing. We try to time it right around the spawn. Dale Hollow Lake held the world record smallmouth. It was like, 11 pounds, 18 ounces or 16 ounces, or something like that.
Okay.
Like, it was huge.
Okay.
And I just saw a picture of it was either 8 or 9 pounder that was caught just like 2 weeks ago down there. So,
Football.
But don't underestimate the largemouth. The largemouth are big in Dale Hollow Lake as well. A lot of our hosts are going to be there. So, you know, I know some of you guys out there listening to the shows, you want to meet Sean, you want to meet Chris. I'm still trying to convince Armando to come.
Okay.
And
actually, to correct you, 22 pounds is the record for that in Dale Hollow, June 2nd, 19.
22 pounds?
22. I was thinking it said like 11. I thought it's 22 pounds.
Wait, 22 pound smallmouth?
Smallmouth.
Oh,
what?
I thought it was 11.
That's like Frankenstein fish right there.
Yeah,
22?
Oh, you know what? That was, never mind. Go 1932. Yeah, 22 pounds. But I think it was maybe I'm confusing. It was in Georgia. Never mind.
Still, 22-pound smallmouth.
What are you smoking over there in Texas, bro?
No, that's the one I remember. That's a largemouth.
Oh.
Never mind.
Well, I know there was an 11-pound something ounce caught in Dale Hollow Lake. So world-renowned fishery. It's right on the border at Kentucky and Tennessee. Should be a really good time. You can find the event on Tourney X. Just search paddle and fin, paddle, the letter N and fin, and you'll find it. Or it's up on all our socials and stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that. Anybody going to the Bassmaster Classic next week?
No.
You going, Armando?
I don't know if I've talked. If I go, it'll be with the Douglas booth, not competing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't compete.
Yeah, that's when I guess that's what I should rephrase it. Anybody, working or just going, right?
I won't be there.
No. I won't.
Jake Stem was asking. I know he'll be down there working the Rabid Baits booth. He's also one of our Pennsylvania Kayak Series directors. Nice. All right, let's get into some juicy stuff.
Ryan
He's going to pour gas on the fire. Yep.
No, I'm not going to ask that. I'll slowly get into that. But the kayak, right? The kayak, we all know it. Kayak industry, the kayak tournament scene is blowing up, right? You know what? It's the most popular series in Slay Nation. I got more kayak series than I have our small vessel and our horsepower and everything else. Like we got like 18 of them, right? It's just booming everywhere you go. Hey, you got a series here. People want to kayak fish, right? So there's a lot of growth and a lot of potential, right? Obviously, we have the Bassmaster Kayak Classic coming up, and we all know what happened last year. And I would agree that a lot of us are not, right? Probably. I mean, hey, we're happy for all the anglers that got an opportunity to fish the very first one, right? And Mark, right, Pendergraft, to get up there and represent the kayak community and win, right? What a great guy to win it and all that whole story that day, right? What a cool thing with everything with JT and all that. What are the expectations going into this year? So my question is, do you, if they, right, let's agree. I mean, I'm going to say what I felt. I did not, right? And I think some of us here agree with me. The whole stage thing and the whole weigh-ins and all that was lackluster. It was pretty much like, let's get them in and get them out and get the big boys on stage, right? I think, and honestly, I don't even think you need to be somebody that's like a kayak angler or John boat person, like small vessel stuff. You could have been anybody and been like, damn, they don't even give a shit right now about these guys. They were surprised that people had sponsors, the way they were talking about fish. You could tell, they didn't have and I get it. They're a big boat organization. I get it. We all know that. But when you are so big as they are, we all expect the big things to come out. So my question is, if it's lackluster again this year, are people going to stop joining the Bass Nation series, or they want to be a part of the Bassmaster Classic? What do you think?
Let me stretch. Hold up.
Oh boy. We're going to be here for like 2 more hours, Frank.
I'll start before Armando starts. I know
everybody talk before I talk this.
I know me personally, I won't stop, supporting bass. It's something that I grew up watching, just like I'm sure all the rest of you have. And it's somewhere eventually I do want to get on that stage of being in the kayak, even in the kayaking classic. It's something I strive for. So does people stop going because it doesn't look good? I don't think so. I think they got too big of a name for people to stop. But that's my little piece. I know Armando is going to go on for an hour and a half. So.
All right, your turn.
Me or you, Sean? You want to go first?
I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say I think they have the name, and hopefully they saw maybe at least a little bit of what that aspect of or the kayak side can bring, and maybe this year they'll be like, oh, maybe give it a little more love. So
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too.
I'll go before Armando freaks out. But he's like, hurry up. The freaking vessel in my forehead is going like this. But no, I mean, you guys are spot on, right? Like, Bass is never going away. What you got to remember is Bass is a business entity, right? they picked up kayak fishing. A lot of kayak anglers got salty because it was treated as a novelty item, which I agree it was. Like kayak fishing, I don't think bass understands how big kayak fishing is getting. But with the fact that you got guys like Mike Iaconelli, Dave Lefebvre, Jordan Lee, guys like that, getting into kayaks and fishing with them and having those boat companies as sponsors would hopefully open up their eyes. Like Iaconelli is fishing the classic.
I'm
Classic,
hoping he has something to say about that after he fishes
this weekend, right? But at the end of the day, they need to step it up. And I think the biggest problem is, right, like you got Dwayne Wally, who runs Tourney Axe, is a huge part of that. Steve Owens is a big part of that too. And they are trying to relay like how bad they're miserably failing. And I don't think Bass is listening. At the end of the day, Bass looks at it as it's just another way for us to bring in some revenue, maybe bring in some sponsor dollars, things like that. But until the kayak anglers really get the credit they deserve, you're not going to see the turnouts that they would get if they did it right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot of kayak anglers are like Chris. I don't care. I support bass. I've always supported bass. I'm going to fish it because I want to get on that classic stage. But there's the other half of the kayak fishing community that feels like until you guys do this justice, I ain't spending a dime with you guys. So, I mean, it's a game of give and take. I don't think it's going to go away necessarily. I don't think you're going to see a bunch of anglers boycott it. The ones that are already boycotting it are already going to do that until they change some things and make it right. But, I mean, at the end of the day, me personally, I feel like it's a good thing for the sport of kayak fishing because with a big entity like Bass, you know, putting out articles, showing it on TV, and putting those guys on the big stage, it opens the eyes to maybe some of those fans that wish they could be walking across this stage in a big boat, but then soon realize I could walk across that stage by going and buying a plastic boat and fishing out of that. So that's my 2 cents. Armando, it's all you, bro.
And before Armando explodes here, I just want to keep that thing fusing. But like I agree, why don't they televise the weigh-ins on right Fox? Like if they did that along with the regular weigh-ins, right? How much more exposure they would actually get and be able to blow it up. Because what I think, like, and I hope they have a great tournament. I hope they have a great weigh-ins and make it exciting for everybody, right? But it's if they don't, what's going to happen is you have all these kayak anglers reaching that goal, Bassmaster Classic, Bassmaster. It's like a child wanting to make the parent proud. Right. And every time they do better and better, the parent gives no recognition. Like, are they going to just keep dangling this carrot for kayak angling? That's not right. And so why would any kayak angler, I want to keep supporting and go to the Classic for what? For what? You're not being appreciated. So I think Bass for the kayak side needs to show out this week, right? They need to show the kayak community, right, that they appreciate them, and it doesn't. They don't have to have the fireworks and all that go on, but let's make it a little bit more exciting. And maybe they might do that because Iaconelli's fishing. Who knows? Maybe he will say something. Maybe he'll bring more fireworks and everybody else on the stage.
I always play devil's advocate, and I will say like from the first Classic to the last Classic we had for the kayaks, it got better. It wasn't great, but it did get better. So I'm hoping they at least continue that trend and get better.
Yeah, I do too. Just especially for all of our friends and people we know that. Yeah. Right. Now, I want to get to the stage. Is it the same stage as the big? It's not. But they want to get there and be a part of that whole the whole event, right? It's a spectacular. And don't get me wrong. I would love to say, hey, I made it to the Classic, the Kayak Classic. Like that's just really cool. I think that's awesome and the experience. But they got to start taking care. They got to start, because if you really, whatever. All right, Armando, go for it.
Okay, now that we got all the political opinions out of the way. No, first of all, I think it's important to understand we all want Bassmaster to be in the kayak fishing game. I do not advocate anybody to boycott Bass. That is not good for the sport.
Sure.
Bassmaster being involved in the kayak fishing is an amazing thing. That being said, I think the biggest problem with Bassmasters, as it's called now, is, and change of name again, Bass Nation to Bassmaster, is a lack of identity. And here's the problem. Here's when I'm going with this. Rotman runs, I think Rotman's the last name. Right? I forgot. Um, but anyways, who runs the tournament along with Dwayne Wally? None of them, and I say this with respect, fish out of kayak. None of them have experience fishing a kayak fishing tournament. And that's where the lack of identity comes. They try to cater to the masses because they want to get people to come in and as many people to fish. But they also, the tournament anglers, the PKA, the ones that travel the nation, not calling specifically, but the Christine Fishers, the Russ Snyders, the Guillermo Gonzalez, the Jody Quinns of the world have to say on this. It's like, if you want me to travel the nation and support yours, we need to see something. So they're trying to play that game where we want to support the masses. Your weekend warriors are going to support us, but we want to support the tournament anglers. And in it, they managed to piss off both groups. One of the things is like, there's 2-day tournaments, which is what the tournament PKA, the tournament anglers want. They want 2 days because it's hard. It's a lot harder somebody to have, to beat you on a lucky day when you're running 2 days, So they want their 2 days, but they also, the majority of people want a 1 day because they have a bigger chance to beat a big name and cash some money. Well, now they have some tournaments that are 2 days and one tournament that has 1 day. But if for the Angler of the Year race, whether you win the 2 day or the 1 day,
it's the same points, right?
It's the same points. That does not go well with the tournament anglers.
Right.
I tell you right now, they don't like it. Their interview on KBN, I think, worsened their perspective, the people's perspective of them, because they kind of came out tone deaf, and not talking about Dwayne Wally, and Stewart, I think his last name Stewart, not Ron.
Yeah, Stewart.
Stewart. It kind of came out like, that's the way we run it, whether you like it or not, and that's the way we run it. Picking a lake, which is the lake in Oklahoma that they're fishing, I think it's the next one or the one after this.
Yeah.
The rule is in the lake that you cannot be more than 150 feet from the shore if you're on a kayak.
Yeah.
How are you going to host a tournament on a lake where not even the local tournaments fishing out there? Because the rules, the laws that govern that lake says a kayak angler cannot be more than 150. How do you pick a lake like that? And how do you justify it and say that's because I want to? That doesn't go well with the kayak fishing community. And they need to get somebody that is a tournament angler or experienced as a tournament angler or experienced as a tournament director. The reason why Hobie is such a great is, truth of the matter is, AJ was an amazing elite angler, so he knows how to kayak fish and he knows how to run a tournament. Until they get somebody that has an experience of fishing and kayak fishing, knows how to run a tournament and decide what they want to do, they're still going to have this. And people say, well, they're never going to go away. If you listen to that interview on KBN, Stewart made it clear. They're expecting a certain amount of attendance. And if that attendance is not met, they're going to think twice about it. But the problem is, who are you going to point the finger when you realize that this year your attendance was not what you wanted and it's not even trending in the right direction? Instead of growing, now it's stalled or even lowering. And that's the thing they have to ask themselves. They got the resources. I don't mind the thing that it's not televised, because I understand in order for them to invest in televising on a Fox network, they need to have an audience that's willing to invest in watching it. So I get it. Take baby steps. People need to understand also as well, and this is why I defend Bass Nation or Bassmaster in this. Their job as Bassmaster is to host tournaments and make money out of it. Hobie is not hosting tournaments to make money. Hobie is making tournaments to have their brand name be in the top echelon of the synonymous with kayak fish, with kayak. When people think about soda, a lot of people call soda Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Hobie wants that. Hobie wants to say, don't call it a kayak, call it a Hobie. So they're not interested in making money out of the tournament. They're fine with breaking even. They just want their name out there. So that gives AJ more flexibility to give it back to the anglers. So he has a more favorable position to make a more attractive product for the kayak anglers. That being said, I think Bass Nation needs to figure it out and needs to get somebody at the helm that knows how to run a kayak fishing tournament. John Stewart cannot be running the Classic and the Bassmaster Classic for kayak all at the same time. And Dwayne Wally runs Tourney X. He's not a tournament angler. He's a great person, and he has an amazing product, and I give Dwayne Wally all the credit on the world. Dwayne Wally, to me, is in the Mount Rushmore of kayak fishing because of what he's built, but he's not a tournament angler.
He fished a tournament today, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but,
He
you
did.
know,
Out of
I'm
a
not lying.
Yeah.
Out of a
I'm not
Hobie.
lying.
He's got the Iconelli Hobie.
But
Yeah.
that's not his bread and butter, you know what I'm saying?
But
Yeah,
take
but
that,
I
Armando.
mean, well, when I talked to Mark about him winning his Classic,
Yeah.
he said that tournament alone changed his life to where he quit his job and he's doing the kayak tournament fishing full time. Just off of winning that, he's picked up sponsors that help him out, and like he picked up a bunch of stuff from Pure Fishing just off of winning that tournament. Even though it was lackluster, even though it wasn't really televised. I mean, they did have the live stream, from what I know, on their website, but it wasn't really promoted.
Right.
But he still got the exposure just from winning that.
He
To
quit his
push
full-time
yourself.
job. He does this full-time?
Yep.
Yeah,
What?
just off of winning that Classic.
Not just fishing. Now he's moving to the boat world, too.
Yeah, he's doing all of it now.
Oh, so they're sponsoring him for kayak tournaments and big boat tournaments?
Yeah, I don't know his exact contracts or anything like that, but he said he officially quit his full-time job to do this full-time now.
So how
I
Because
had
many?
him
of
on the
that.
podcast, and he said it opened doors for him. And that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, that's great.
Wow. How many? I know Cody Henley he fishes full time. This year he's fishing full time.
And
He's got
winning
the big
money.
companies fishing full time. How many kayak anglers would you say, maybe you know, are actually able or are doing this full time? Do you know? Like
Oh,
a rough
here goes another argument.
It's probably if I had to guess, there's maybe a dozen to 18, tops 24 that are fishing full time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Making a living off of fishing.
Whether it be tournament angler or content creator, because you got Gene Jackson. He does fish tournaments, but most of his money's generated off content creation. Contract deals. Chad Hoover. Jameson Redding creates content, but he works for Jackson. So but his job is to fish and create content for Jackson. So like it's hard if you're talking tournament anglers
that also do content, right, to support the tournament, right? I mean,
maybe a dozen to 18. I think.
Yeah.
I think we could all agree on that.
Yeah,
that's
and
more than
that's
I
the
thought.
thing. Look, Jordan Marsh and Ryan Lambert had said that Jordan Marshall kind of was frustrated that he won Angler of the Year at the Hobie BOS, but he wasn't getting the calls from the sponsorship like he said. He's a great angler, but he doesn't have a social media game. So that's the thing. Anybody that's interested, you think you're going to just win out of tournament winnings. That's not going to happen. Even Cody Henley and Ronaldo Nandin, each of them won over $20,000 in a span of 2-3 weeks. That's not going to happen every week. So you need a social media following and a content creation in order to supplement that.
You need to be an influencer no matter what you're doing. I mean, even these elite guys have to be influencers. Call it what it is, but they have to have a social media. No one's going to get a sponsor.
That's what sponsors
without
are
it.
looking for, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how about like Russ Snyder's? Does he fish full time?
Yeah.
He does, but he owns
his own
business.
Yeah, he owns his own business, so he's got income coming from that.
Gotcha. So he's not. So fishing is not his full time.
Well, that was one thing, like the kayak fantasy kayak game that we have going on.
Yeah.
Last year we posted winnings, and it was kind of eye opening to see the top people were topping out, you know, 45, 50, you know, $1,000. That was their winnings for the year. So
Guillermo Gonzalez won what, 84,000 last year?
He won the national championship.
Yeah.
So that was just winnings. That's winnings only.
Winnings,
just winnings.
Right. Wow, that's pretty dope.
So
yeah, but he went on a tear.
Yeah,
right.
On a tear that you normally don't go on.
So it drops off precipitously from him, you know. So it.
Yeah, and I guess it's also what can you do, because that's 1 year, right? What are you going to use? Year 2, year 3, year 4? You know, how far? You know, how hard?
Well, let's be honest.
About what some of these anglers are, and not to get into a personal life, but Guillermo Gonzalez doesn't have to worry about supporting kids, and same with Christine Fisher. You know, she's not worried about. And I don't know, maybe she is. You know, she's helping her parents. I don't know her, but when you look at it, you know, the Jody Queens, he doesn't have to worry about supporting a family. Just same with Russ Snyder. They don't have maybe the everyday, the weekend warrior lifestyle there. You need to save money for college for the kids, pay for, you know, kids tuition every year, you know, medical
daycare, diapers,
like
all that.
That's different. You know, their livelihood allows them to have built that brand. Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so that takes us to the next question. And again, I'm just asking these questions for a good conversation. Is PKA like, so, you know, anybody watching professional kayak angler, right? It's what we're talking about. Do you think that term gets thrown around a lot with the kayak community? Like, do you feel like everybody, like if you fish a national trail and you're traveling, like, you know, I feel like some people just think that's what they do now. Right. And it's really not. It's just like they're part of it. They want to, you know, and it's kind of like, it's like, all right, wait, this is too easy. This is too easy. I could just start fishing national trails here and there, and now I'm a PKA. Like, is that like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like the same thing with like pro staff, right? Oh, pro staff this, pro staff that. But all right, dude, you got a 10% discount. You ain't pro staff shit yet. You know what I mean? But like, do you feel that sometimes? Like sometimes I feel that when I see people post like, oh, I'm going to this, and then they just, and I get that they want to be entrenched in it. I get it, and it's really cool to see. But I also feel like, yo, you know, chill out. You know, chill out a little bit, because, you know, the people that are really grinding and working really hard to really take, you know, make that dream come true. Then you come around and it's like, you're like throwing around that name or that signature like it's playful, and it's really not. Some people, no, these are dreams. This is like something where this kayak community wants to get to, like the Bassmaster elites, right? And and I think sometimes that's a difference why the boaters are like, look at the kayak and like, get out of here. Like, when you take these boaters and go to the elites, and they go to the federation, they go through, you know, the ranks, it is not easy. It's extremely hard, and very few make it there, right? That's why there's only 50 elites, or however many there are.
150.
Like
86, actually, I think.
You know what I mean? But and there's very few that actually are doing it full time. They all are still working. We just don't ever see it. We think because we see a nice boat with sponsor stickers, they're all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? But
that's not the case.
So not even close. What do they say in big boats? They say you got to have it. You have to have $2 million saved up before you go losing whatever and you're chasing your dream. Now, how do you think that connects with the kayak community?
I mean, for me personally, I just take it as like these people. Well, I said it on the podcast. I don't think it aired yet, but where in our world, whoever has the money can go and travel. You know, whoever has the money and has the time can enter a national tournament, but that shouldn't make them a professional kayak angler. Like if I go do the national tour this year, I'm not going to feel like I'm a professional kayak angler. I feel like you have to be somehow, like Brian was saying, where that's your only income. That should make you a professional. Where it's your only income, where you grinded it out, you learned, you know, even if it's through your social media, that you're a professional because that's how you're making your money. Not just because
you're getting that money because of
your skills.
Because of your skill. And I totally agree with that. Agree with that.
Versus the guys who already have the money and they're just going out there because they have the money to blow.
Yeah.
And it often gets thrown around into the boat world too, you know, with the guys with the money. And there's elite series guys who get really pissed off about it, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna judge anybody from they believe they're PK or not, but I agree with him. Like maybe not your only source of income, but if it's your main source of income, then I would say, yeah, you know, PKA, professional kayak angler, and that goes, you know, like Gene Jensen, Fluke Master. He doesn't. To me, he's a PKA. Now, do you see his name come up every tournament like the winner, like we saw with Guillermo Gonzalez last year? No, because his money comes from his content
From
creation.
yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
that to me still counts as a PKA because he's doing
Yeah.
it professionally. Maybe, you know, the term professionally doesn't have to necessarily be that he's competing.
Like
It is
a
that
tournament
maybe he's
angler,
doing
right.
content. Greg Blanchard's another example of it. To me, he's a professional kayak angler because he's doing content about it.
Yeah. Brian?
You mean to tell me because I get a 10% discount, I'm not a pro? Like for real, bro?
You're breaking his heart, man.
Did you just tell me I'm not a pro?
I'm still waiting for my catch boards and
Oh
I don't know
my
what
God.
else. John, did you get your
Yeah,
catch boards already?
Call
Oh,
catch,
No?
dude. Call
I'm pleading the
catch if you
fifth.
would
I'm pleading the
answer
fifth on
an
that
email.
one.
Yeah, well, you know, if the company would respond to an email, you might have one.
Shots
So
fired.
yeah, exactly. So I agree with what everybody said, dude. I mean, there are a few people that throw that term out there, and I don't necessarily agree that they are there for instance, but it could be interpreted 8 million different ways. You know, I think it's all based off opinion, so to speak. But I mean, I feel like if you're making a full-time living, paying your bills off of fishing, or not necessarily just fishing, but like Armando said, like you look at Fluke Master or Chad Hoover, you know what I mean? Those guys are creating a ton of content. That's their main source of income, along with their partner deals with companies they work with. If that's how your income's coming in, by all means, dude, you're a professional. Like, for instance, you look at G-Man, Gerald Swindle, right? When's the last time that guy won a tournament? But at the same time, he's paying his bills and crushing it. Same thing with B-Lat. B-Lat's only got one win under his belt, you know, but he crushes it with the content.
Yep.
You know, it's the same thing, you know. I think a lot of times, like there is a fantasy that could be a possibility in the kayak fishing world. There are a few people that are doing it. Do I think we're there where it could sustain 50 to 100 anglers doing it professionally? No, absolutely not. I know people look at some of the companies in the kayak fishing world and think they're really big, and they're really not. You know, like the boat company I'm partnered up with, New Canoe. You call the New Canoe's number, half the time Blake, the owner, is answering the phone. It's a very small company. Yeah, boat sales are up right now because of everything that happened with COVID, but at the same time, like they're not making money hands over fist, you know, until we have some of those sponsors from outside of the fishing world step in, like the Pepsis, the Mountain Dews, you know, the Toyo tires, the McDonald's, the Coca-Cola. Till we get that kind of FU money into our sport, you're not going to see that elite type trail. I know there's entities out there trying to make it, but in reality, you know, I think when we looked at that list of people and their winnings last year across all three major trails, Hobie, KBF, and Bass, Guillermo won $80,000. He won the national championship. And that was like, what, 50,000, 55,000 of that was from that one event. When you got down to 10, I think they made what, 9 grand, 10 grand, if that. So you're not going to fish full time off of 10 grand. Like that may cover your entry fees, food, and maybe Airbnb, motel. How you getting there? You ain't got any gas. How you buying baits? You ain't got that. You know what I mean? So until we get some of that money involved in the actual sport, I don't think you're going to see the full-on professional kayak anglers. There are some out there, but I think we still need some growth in the tournament world to sustain that kind of field of professionals.
Yeah. So that leads to my next question. What, in your opinions, do you think would have to be done or could be done to attract those outside businesses to the
Television.
kayak world?
Kayak anglers need to quit acting like a bunch of crybaby 13-year-old bickering freaking crybabies.
I 100% agree.
When they start acting more professional, if you want to be treated professional, you need to act professional. And until you stop that, we're not going anywhere with that.
So give me an example of what you mean.
I'm not going into examples.
Oh,
I'm
not people, not people,
shots.
but like what you mean.
Well, for instance, like I think healthy conversations are good, but I think people take it too far and they start attacking companies, brands, organizations. Until that stops.
Now I know what you mean.
Who wants to sponsor somebody that's going to go and attack brand A, B, and C?
Yeah.
Because if you make that angler mad because his check didn't get sent out in the mail on the 1st, or you didn't send his bait so they got there in the tournament, what's that guy going to do? He's going to turn around, go on social media, and run his mouth like a you know what?
Yeah.
Who would want that representing their company?
Yeah.
And a lot of kayak anglers don't think like that. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of kayak anglers that act like that never want to get to that point. But until you stop that, stop the child's play, stop the bullshit, we're not going to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
My opinion, take it or leave it. But like I said, if you want to be treated like a professional, act like a professional.
I agree. Anybody else?
Go ahead, Armando. Come on. I'm waiting, bro. I'm waiting.
Frankly, you're going to get a taste of what Brian goes through. Like, nobody pushes Brian buttons. You see, I got excited about Bassmaster. I lowered my intensity. Now Brian's just kind of up the ante. So you're going to see just Sean and Chris just like fly away.
This is just a snapshot of our group chat right here.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I agree with him.
Send me some screenshots.
I kind of know where he's going with this, and I already see the chat, some of the comments.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the comments are know where it's at. That's for sure.
I'm remaining neutral on it.
What I say about that is, let me go ahead, Chris. I'll go ahead. I have to think about it.
Well, I mean,
I got flustered. Yeah.
Brian 1, Armando 0.
Oh.
No,
I totally agree with what Brian's saying. You'd also need to see like I think we need bigger entry fees too. I know that's going to hurt a lot of people, but in order to really sustain a living off of this, we need to pay bigger entry fees. I mean, the Elite Series guys, granted, a lot of their sponsors help them with that, but they're still paying.
Hold on, Chris, hold that thought, because you bring up a point. I want to say this before I forget. So hiring entry fees, right? All right. Obviously, there's good and bad to that, right? Mm-hmm. Bad because it's not going to get as many entrants
right
now, but it also makes it more elitist, which means the anglers are going to have to work harder to get sponsors. Yeah. That's how you become a professional, and it shouldn't. And I think, right, there's good and bad to it, right? But if we're talking about what's going to take it to get to the next level, right? Now you're really going to see who's hustling. It's going to force people. Damn, I really got to start being. I have sponsors, but I don't do a damn post. I see that all the time, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, how the frig does this guy have a sponsor? You don't do shit, and or this person doesn't do anything. But so I think I think you hit the nail on the head. And yes, there's going to be people like, oh, well, now I can't fish it. Well, guess what? Now you're going to have to work and see what it is to be a professional. And you said, yes, their sponsors pay for these entry fees. How do you think they got sponsors? They work their asses off, right? That's how you get sponsors. You work hard, and your skill set, right? Even your fishing. How do you think people got so good? They put in the work. That's the end line to being a professional.
Yeah, no, I was just telling them, I was just talking at the show today, telling people how I used to just go to these trade shows, pay my entrance, sit at the tank, and just listen to these guys speak on how to learn how to fish. I spent a lot of years just watching people do it before I ever even made a post or even started a social media about fishing. Yeah. I never really want to talk about something I don't know about, but like like I was saying, like the elite guys, they still pay 10 grand each tournament. You
Yeah.
see the big 100 grands at the end of the weekend, but you didn't see the 10 and they have to have that before the season even starts.
Yeah.
So they need 80 grand before they even launch their boat.
Yeah.
Man. And some of them don't have the sponsorship money.
No. Roland Martin.
Yeah.
Didn't, he wanted to enter the elites with his son to try to be the first father-son to fish the Classic next year, but he couldn't, he couldn't get the support from his personal sponsors, right?
Yeah.
So I know he's older and I get it, but that guy could still fish. I don't give a shit what anybody
yeah.
says. That dude is more that dude has more passion in his pinky than anglers that are 25 years old.
Right.
I think going back to what Brian said, first of all, I can't disagree with what he said. He's completely right. I think the definition of it is maybe when we and
wait a minute, dude. This is live and recorded, bro. You just said I was right.
No, you're right.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I think it goes both ways. If you're the head of organization, stop bringing attention on your channel about things that you don't need to bring attention. Don't try to be the dictator of how you think things should be handled, and you establishing the rules of how it should be handled. I think a lot of times, when you're talking about a tournament director or a leader or organization, the name behind an organization, take too much to social media to address things that only a couple of people know about it, but now you're broadcasting it to people that are new to the sport that are not even aware of these issues. So now this small issue, because you're trying to control it, now you created it a bigger issue, and now the issue is not the issue, it's how you talked about the issue. So you're bringing attention to yourself, and I don't like that either. What I will say about sponsorship and all that, and talking about, I think there's and somebody mentioned the comments, one of or another social media or podcast that handles this, right? Yeah. This is what it's misunderstood. You can't just go by what you people perception is. Listen to what they're saying. At the end of the day, organizations, companies are going to look at how you're making money. When somebody hosts a charity tournament, the biggest charity tournament, kayak fishing, and with it an auction, it moves over $8,000 in 30 days, with whatever your opinion is of that person, right or not, that's what the company's going to look for. It says, this guy just moved $80,000 from this pocket, although being for a good organization, a charity, to save somebody from a disease, a horrible disease. That's what they look at it. Now, being said that, you still have to be responsible. And I think that's the difference. A lot of people misunderstand. Just because you're opinionated and you say what your opinion is, doesn't make you wrong. It's how you say it, though. And I think when you're like, for example, my opinion of Bassmasters may not be popular with everybody, but I don't know. I'm calling out what things should be fixed, but I'm not attacking anybody. I'm not questioning anybody's character. I'm not calling anybody names. And that's where I think you draw the line. I think people like that you express your opinion. And one of the things that I think I was talking to Jimmy about it, well, how do we handle talking about our favorite trail and what trails other people think? And one of the things that Jimmy mentioned is like, well, I don't want people to, think of it, in a negative way. And my thought process, not saying that is wrong, is your audience wants to know what your thought is on this. And you can't always cater to what, everybody wants. At some point, you draw the line and you say, hey, I don't like this. And I think this needs to get fixed. I agree with some of those people that kind of been loosely mentioned when they say, I can't pat somebody on the back for doing something half-heartedly and thinking it's great. If you're not doing things right, such as the example of Bassmasters, then I think in a respectful way, you need to voice your opinion and say, this needs to get fixed. This is not right. Because if we keep saying it's right and it's not, then it's not going to grow. So
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with on that point either. But I think there's a professional way to go about that.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times that's not treated professionally. It's more of a, it seems like it's more strung out of anger and hate than anything. Whereas if you approach it with a criticism, hey, I don't like this because of A, B, and C. I would like to see D, C, and E, or whatever. I can't do the alphabet right now. Fall into play, right? Like, give constructive criticism back. But I think there is some sour grapes that just like to point out all the bad, but not give a single suggestion on how to fix that, you know? So there's a right way and a wrong way. And I completely agree, dude. For instance, like a lot of people like to attack KBF, right? Because they don't like Chad Hoover, they don't like this, or they don't like that. I was very vocal after I fished the KBF Trail Series in 2019 on what I didn't like about it. And I voiced my opinion on how they should change that. And it was as far as like how people qualify for the championship in the Trail Series. Like I fished 4 out of the 5 events to get, to get my AOY points to get that championship. Whereas there was one guy that fished one event close to his home and qualified for the championship. Well, there was money held out of each one of those trail events to go to that championship prize pool. So I put in 4 pieces of the pie and this guy put in 1, but got to fish the championship and win my 4 pieces of the pie. And I felt that wasn't fair. You know what I mean? And I voiced that, and I said they should change that. So that way the guys that are actually putting in the time, effort, and energy into that trail series aren't feeling like they got cheated. Mm-hmm. And now they've kind of switched up the whole trail series as a whole. You know, that was back when it was all regions and stuff, and I'm talking about the regional championship. So like they have changed it, they have listened, but I think that was the one thing I was like, I don't like it because this and this and this. I didn't just come out and be like, I hate Chad Hoover and KBF and you guys can go pound sand. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be professional about that and approach that in the right way. And I think there are some people in our sport and even the bass boat world, right? Because like you said, Armando, like people voice things and they may be new to this sport and they see that and they're like, these guys are just as bad as the other guys. What are we even thinking about, Yep. And you hear all the time, like the kayak community is such an awesome place. It's like a family. They're very tight knit. And it's like any group, right? You're going to have some bad seeds. And unfortunately, some of those new people coming into the sport, that's all they see. And then they turn around and leave. Again, going back to what we were talking about, we're passionate about people getting involved in fishing in the outdoors, not turning them away. So like, I know I get a little heated and passionate about it. Me and Armando have like probably punched each other through our cell phones a couple times, over that kind of stuff.
I have
but
no idea, Frankie.
At the end of the day, man, we bring our heads together. We tell each other we love each other, and we go on about our business. You know what I mean? But it's healthy conversations. When me and Armando get heated like that, it's healthy conversation. Yeah. But we're not. That's the thing, right?
You're not taking it public.
Doing that in the middle of social media for everybody else to see.
Well, it's
behind. Well, yeah, but this isn't heated. This is like the
sizzle
P version, right? That like we don't even have the G part in the P right now. You know what I mean? But there's ways to do things, and I think if we all approached it in a professional manner, we could go a lot farther, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of because I know exactly what we're all talking about, right? Even though. Slade, I'm not like a kayak tournament angler or, I run an organization, but I dabble in everything, right? I would say I'm pretty well versed in what's going on in the kayak world, right? And the names and this and that, what's going on. So I get it. And I think there's a lot of personal stuff. That's what really turns it so sour is they take the personal, right? One-to-one, this and that. Yeah. And it kind of manifests from there.
Sure.
And, I mean, as a viewer, as someone that's not really, who's really active on a certain platform, but I don't always like share anything, but I'm in there watching and listening. I'm like, all right, I just sit back and laugh. I'm like, all right, this is okay.
We all do.
That right. That was a good point. Okay. All right. That was a little crazy. And then sometimes, and it goes everywhere, anywhere, not one or another, but sometimes it gets to the point where I agree, it will turn you off. You're like, all right, what the hell am I doing? Why am I still scrolling, looking at 200 comments of this stupid crap? Like, I got to go do something here. I agree.
At the end of the day, I think sponsorship comes from is their interest. They don't care about what's being said in the Facebook group. The money's there, they're going to participate. When you look at NFL, you look at the controversies NFL goes in the season and then the off season with a whole bunch of stuff, and it's still the most popular sport. Not to say that we're that big.
But there is guys who gets cut.
Yes, but there is the sponsorship deal is going to come out. Companies are going to look at, is this growing? Are people watching it? If we televise it, will people watch it? Are the people is it gonna grow? Are people investing in getting into tournament? That's what's gonna. Yeah. It's not what is being said on a.
So let's circle back to the question is what, like we talked about what shouldn't be done, right? What's gonna push these big sponsors outside of the industry that want to invest into the sport? And Chris talked about hiring entry fees, right? But what else has to be done to attract these bigger business? Like, is it these national event, like, the big three? Like, is there pressure on the big three to make their events more engaging, more exciting, more fun? You know what I mean? Because if these big sponsors want to come in outside of the industry, are they looking at local series? Probably not.
I'll be honest. I think what it is nobody knows about kayak fishing, right? Like, obviously we all do, but when you look at the bigger picture in the rest of the world, and I saw that firsthand today working at this boat show. I was here last weekend and this weekend. This is probably one of the biggest shows in the Midwest. It goes 9 days. And there's people walking into this booth going, that's a kayak? You guys fish out of this?
We're having
wait a minute. You could stand in this boat?
Number one
in the middle
question.
of a lake? Like, are you crazy? I had a guy last weekend. He was bigger than I was, and I'm a big dude, right? I like to eat cheeseburgers, Frankie. This burrito was 5 times the size about an hour and a half ago, right? Okay? If that says anything to you. This guy got in a kayak. He's like, I fought with him for 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, you can stand in this kayak. Yeah. I'm not lying to you. I put him in the boat, in the demo pool, pushed him off. I said, go ahead, stand up. Dude stood up, and he's like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm the most uncoordinated SOB ever, and I'm standing in a kayak in the middle of a demo pool right now. Yeah. That's the thing. Until people know about it, like bass fishing, like how long did it take for BASS to actually become huge and well-known? Like, how many people were in the first bass event? It was like 30, 40, something like that. How long did it take before you had 200 boats showing up? I mean, that's kind of what we're going through right now, Like I said, people have been fishing out of kayaks forever, but actual kayak tournaments, maybe 8 years, something like that. Yeah. Like on a national level. So we're still in that infant stage, like I said. Like, I don't think we're going to get that way. I mean, I know we all want it to be here now, but until the rest of the world finds out about it and we have eyeballs on our sport like we do in the big bass boat world, I don't think we're going to get there, and we're not going to get the interest from those bigger companies, because let's face it, sponsorships from bigger companies is just advertising for them. Yeah. Where is my logo going to be plastered? How is it going to reach people that aren't already buying my product?
I was just going to say
the end game. It's business.
It's going to be one of those big companies like Toyota or Pepsi, like in a board meeting somewhere, somebody's going to be like, well, hey, I just happened to catch, the Kayak Bassmaster Classic, and their viewership was this. If we next year, if we invest in that, we could be the headline sponsor of that.
Sure.
And I think once that happens, it's going to snowball. Once one major sponsor like that hops on, that's all it's going to take, and it's going to explode. But I think until that happens, that we're just going to kind of be pulling on the coattails of either the Big Boat World or the other like NASCAR or those places that have those big sponsors.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's it, because I think a lot of those bigger companies, they see one of them get in and they're like, damn, we missed the mark. Now we got to get in there.
Yeah.
Now they're fighting
Yeah.
for that sponsorship possibility.
Keeping up with the Joneses. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
And
think
so do you think that will take getting these tournaments, right, televised, obviously,
Televised.
that reaches the broadest audience and the most diverse audience?
I don't know about televised. I think streamed.
Streamed, yep.
Streamed where people can easily find it, where it's getting in front of their face. Because let's face it, like TV and cable TV is dead. Like viewership on that stuff is down.
That's a good point.
With all the streaming platforms, things like that. Like I will give KFL, right? They're trying something different, a whole new format, and they're actually streaming their events, which is huge. Like that's a way to do it. You know what I mean? But it at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to dollars and cents for those companies. And until they see something that they can potentially get a return on, they're not going to invest in.
Yeah. So do you think, and this is, I don't think this is actually like a crazy idea to throw out there, because do you think, like, look, so, right, we always put it back on the big boat scene because they're ahead of the curve, right? They've been doing it longer, right? There's Bass, the elites, you have MLF, right? When that started, everybody, oh my God, holy crap, here we go. And then now NPFL is trying to do a little something, right? So do you think there's opportunity, or is the gate open for somebody to get together and start this new kayak organization, tournament organization, trail, whatever you want to call it, series that can swipe it from the big three right now and say, yo, why are you waiting?
Somebody already did it. Scott Butcher, 5 Live.
I don't know.
Given that up, had he not given that up, we would be there. I know Scott figured out a way to make the connections better for guys out on a kayak. It took some money. He got some of the equipment, but then I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's out there trying to sell it to one of the big three or what the case is. But, I mean, you're talking millions of views he was getting just streaming with guys on their phone like I am right now while they're in their kayaks and talking to them while they were on the water. And it was for 2 hours. And the guys had to catch 5 fish in 2 hours, and whoever had the biggest limit won. You do something like that, the sky's the limit.
So KFL, they do it.
Yep.
Thoughts on that?
I think my opinion is I think KFL can do it, but it's gonna be a long road to get it up there, because I think the quickest road to that is Bassmaster. Now, here's the thing: Bassmaster needs justification to say, I got my resources. Why am I going to, and I can invest in more bass boat if it's growing. So it's like I can make $1 million investing in bass boat, and it's going to make more money, and I can make $100,000 in profit in kayak fishing. Well, which one are they going to pick? They're going to say, no, I'm going to invest in the boat because that's what's leaving more. Bassmaster has the resource. The question is, are they willing to sacrifice a little bit of the resources that they're doing in the boat to try to grow the kayak fishing in the expectation that it's going to be as big or as profitable? I don't think it's going to be as big or as profitable, so I don't think they're going to do it. I can see Hobie making their own channel, especially look at what Hobie's doing. Hobie's just
for sure.
They're about, by the end of the night, they're going to sell out their 4th straight tournament. Their next tournament is Broken Bow, and that's in May, and we're in February, and they're just 2 spots away from selling out again for the 4th tournament. I think when Hobie looks at that, they might say, you know what? This is now that we're selling out, we're getting sold out, not selling out, getting sold out all the events. I can see Hobie making a live stream, and like when I say live stream, it's not just AJ on a computer saying who's ahead, who just caught a fish. It's actually putting boats in cameras and having live stream. That takes money. Now,
Wait a minute. You said putting boats in cameras. How does that work?
No, like putting on a boat, like putting having a
You meant
cameras on the
boats.
like
busting
the
your
basketball
balls.
world has a camera guy. Each basketball
Yeah,
has a camera
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
You
Yeah, I
can't
get
put
it.
a camera guy on a kayak. So I think
I'll be your camera guy, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big kayak. If we put if the technology matches, like I said, one thing that we have in favor of kayak fishing is cable TV is dead. Now
Yeah.
it's live streaming. You can see like a Red Bull channel, which does a lot of live streaming for, like mountain biking. I can see something like that coming up and saying we're gonna do kayak fishing. Now, when the technology gets to a point where it's more accessible, think about this. And this is coming up in my next podcast. When we were growing up, Frankie, you and I, we have it to record a family video with the big ass camera on our shoulder.
Yeah.
What camera do you use now? A little 2-inch by 2-inch GoPro that weighs few ounces.
Yeah.
So once
and it does do live stream.
Yes, but I think the technology of live streaming, still the capabilities are not there.
Yeah.
Once I think that gets there, and it makes it a lot more affordable for companies to televise this or live stream it, I think that's where you're going to see kayak fishing take off.
Well, they need to have it to where, like they do with the Elite Series, they got their 8-9 guys that they go out on the water with, and those are the guys that they stay with them all day, whether they're doing great or they're doing bad. And then after that, they see how people are placing, and they
adjust.
They stick with the top 10 after that.
Yeah,
I think that's going to serve two goals too, because like Brian was saying, there's still so many people out there who don't even know what kayak fishing looks like. And when you start live streaming that and broadcasting that, and somebody sees, oh, look, I can get into this. This isn't a $50,000 bass boat. This is a max, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 kayak. Yep. I can swing that. I could be that. It's much more attainable than a $50,000 bass boat, and I think that's also going to help the sport just explode.
Yeah.
Frankie, to touch on this, like you and I were on when I had you on my show, we talked about it. Like, think about it. You and I grew up when we were kids. Like, I would sit in front of my TV, 5 years old, with my rod, my reel, and my tackle box, and watch bass fishing shows. And now I'm in my late 40s, and I'm investing in it. We're in a generation right now where our kids and grandkids are going to watch, guys from our age do kayak fishing. Potentially, they can go into their mobile device and see live events. And that's going to create a second, third generation. So that's going to build, because now you have generations of kids, they're in their phone, 10, 12 years old, watching this. And that's going to inspire them to do the same. Not every kid is going to do that, but it grows. So now you build on generations and generations. So this is the time where it's building blocks for the kayak fishing community. And I think we need to take advantage of that. If we can build a solid foundation for the next generation, I mean, it can grow. It doesn't have a ceiling.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. But I think, I think someone or somebody, people are going to get together, and I think they're going to kind of in tune. There'll be a few people that are in tune with what's going on in the kayak world. They're going to put something together. I just know it. I could just feel it. It always happens, right? And someone's going to be like, next thing you know, boom, and they're going to take everything that hasn't been done, and maybe they'll have some kind of investors or support behind them to do it. And then, and so I'm just getting to the point, like, hey, I know it's hard to get where you want to go sometimes, right? It takes time and patience, but it's like, all right, it's been around, maybe 8 years, 9 years, whatever, 7 years. Someone's going to scoop it up and say, hey, here's what we got going on. And now see you later. See you later to this, see you later to that organization, see you later. And now, and it's like, ooh, you had the time now to do it. Like Hobie, I follow all of the All American Classic, all that stuff. But Hobie, I feel like, dude, they don't post a lot. I feel like they don't post much about any.
You have to be within the know. You have to be within the know with a lot of these companies in order just to know the information. Where nobody's trying to reach new people. They're just kind of surviving off the people who already know about it.
And I get that, and I understand why people do that. I get it, but I also understand why you wouldn't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I try to, you don't see much going on, like activity on social media is king right now. We all know that. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, YouTube, whatever you're on, even bring like, Hobie interviews the winners. Like, do they do that? I mean,
Yeah,
not
they
the,
do. Yeah, they
They do a live stream at the end of
Yeah.
each event.
at the end of each event. Okay. But that's it. Other than that, there's nothing in between events though. Correct? Like there's nothing. It's just, right.
Yep.
I mean,
that's it.
No, they do. I think they do. In my opinion, I think compared to Bassmaster, which has bigger resources, and I think it's like, why are you have the resources? Why are you not pumping out this content before the tournament comes out? And again, look back at this. How many KBF does the best one of promoting their stuff? How
They
many
do.
anglers are they averaging? Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not even close to what Hobie is doing, and they don't promote it as much. So it comes to a point where it has to be with the quality of it. Hobie is getting big because the quality of it, word of mouth. People are saying this is the best tournament out there. We're gonna do it.
yeah.
Hobie sold out 200 anglers. KBF's event today had 185. That's not far off. Just saying.
But that goes to the point where it's not just promoting on it.
Do you feel like there's right? I mean, would you all say there's a dividing line, right? Like Hobie anglers only are going to fish Hobie because they like Hobie, right?
No,
no.
A lot. Well, it depends, right? Like a lot of the elite style anglers, the guys that do really well in tournaments, they'll fish all three series, right? You do have your diehard Hobie Trail series only. You do have your diehard only KBF series.
Yep.
And you got some guys that only chase bass or All American, right?
Yep.
To each their own, right? Like we had a conversation recently. I think it was Shane Lamont brought it up in our group chat. Like, do you think people are more prone to fish Hobie at a beginner level because everybody's stuck with human power because they don't allow motors?
Yeah.
I could see that. Whereas like Chad Hoover says, we're not the elite series. Our trail series isn't the elite series. It's good for middle of the road guys and beginners, which is great. And then they have what they're trying to do with their pro series. That's right now is just a sweetened side pot for these trail stops. But what they're trying to get to is so you have the guys that want to spend the money and be the road warriors and fish at a higher level can do that.
Yeah.
Whereas bass, I think, they're kind of a combination of the two with the exception that like a lot of kayak anglers, like we already talked about, they're not getting the promotion. But one thing I will say with bass is like after a person wins bass, they write up a full article on it and it's on their website. Now, is everybody going and reading articles? No, we're in the day of technology where everybody's prone to watching 30-second video clips.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to get somebody's win in 30 seconds to put on a little video clip and put it on, what's that stupid app? I don't even remember.
TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah. Sorry. You can tell I'm an old
you
man.
Old man. You old man, you.
Get off my yard.
I mean, that's just it, right? Like, KBF allows motors. There's been that argument too. Like, should Hobie allow motors? And the argument is Hobie doesn't do that because they want to sell more of their boats.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit, Hobie Drive, one of the fastest out there. You know what I mean? Like, if I was fishing a Hobie event, I'd want to choose their drive over a New Canoe drive. I'll be the first to admit that, and I'm on the frickin' New Canoe team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No more.
I'm gonna get to my spot faster with a Hobie drive than I am that.
Yeah.
But if
I just got that.
But if I'm in my New Canoe with a Newport vessel and there's a Hobie guy, like, I'm not going to be tired when I get to my spot, bro. We might get there at the same time, but I'll be eating a cheeseburger the whole way to the spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, to each their own, right? Like, there's a lot of kayak fishing purists that like that Hobie series.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fat, lazy guys like me that like KBF because I could use a motor.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with bass. You know,
You're not lazy.
I'm lazy as fuck. You only knew.
You're the hardest working people in podcasts.
In podcasts, dude, what punching keys? That's hard work, bro. But no, I mean, let's be honest, dude. It's to each their own. Like, I don't think any one of these series is better than the other. I think they're all great in their own specific way.
Yeah.
And people are going to fish what they want to fish, you know. And if you don't like one of them, who cares? Don't fish it. Go fish the one you like. Why are you spending your time and energy over here on this one if you don't even like it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
it's just so funny how that topic right there soaks up so much energy right now, right? Like, it just, right? It does. It's, we all know about it. It's just crazy. It's crazy. But it's a fun conversation to talk about.
Sure.
It's good for the heart. It's good for the heart rate.
It's good conversation to have, though. You know what I mean? Like,
it is. I love it when y'all talk about this stuff. I love these conversations.
Dude, like I always say,
like, be on our host page, on our chat.
Oh, well,
I don't know about that.
He'll jump right out of there in 30 seconds after being in there.
You thought KBA group was bad.
That's funny.
But I mean, that's just it, man. Like, you could fish whatever you want, and like I always say, there's no such thing as a perfect kayak. There's a perfect kayak for a perfect person for a perfect situation. It's the same thing with a trail, man. There's no such thing as a perfect trail. I know everybody has their opinions on what they think the perfect trail is, but none of them are perfect. They all have their flaws.
Not even the professional ones.
My flaw with Hobie is they don't allow motors, so I don't fish it. I don't complain about it, you know. I'll go fish a KBF or a bass event.
Well, if they call kayak,
if Brian Schiller start coming out, I can see it creeping out.
That's right. If they call kayak boats, why can't I have a motor? Just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sean, go ahead and say something before Brian.
No, I was going to say, you know, well, when Brian was fishing the Blue Sky, everybody's like, "That's not a kayak."
Oh, yeah, I love those blue skies are dope.
But you know, at the same point, if it gets you out on the water, same like if half your people are John boat guys. I mean, what gets you out on the water? If it gets you out on the water, then dang it,
well,
it's your boat.
That's how Slay Nation started. Was you could fish John boat, kayak, canoe. I mean, we have guys winning tournaments in float tubes.
Yeah,
like, for Christ's sake, like your feet are dangling, like you're tickling hydrilla, bro. Like, I mean, it doesn't get more pure than that. But
that's why I like Slay Nation, man. Like, you guys don't care what you're floating on if you care about that you're fishing, and that's what's important.
Yeah, and I know I get a lot of slack about, like, we still allow hog troughs. I'm like, go frig yourself. I don't care. I was like, just because one person bent the board doesn't mean the whole friggin' country's got to use catch boards.
Oh shit, Bengay 2020 coming back.
That's right, dude. That's right. Which, by the way, I got some stuff in the works with our own measuring boards.
Oh snap!
Yeah, we'll see.
That's an interesting subject because I think I don't like that catch dominates, but I think other companies need to come up and make a better.
I agree.
I have to differ on you on that, Brian.
A company that answers their email address.
Yeah, but I think you know the hog trough thing. It's just you know I don't like it. But I don't like to catch dominate. I think other I need hog trough needs to make a better quality product or another company make a better quality product.
Yeah, I reached out to Hagen's Fishing Company. They make the hog trough. I mean, it's very It's $12.45, right? It's the original hog trough. I reached out. I did not expect an answer. I said, "Hey, I think you're missing out on some money. Just make a thicker hog trough." Blah blah blah. You know, nothing. I didn't expect an answer back. I did not, but. You know, my mind's always thinking, and the cool thing I like about what we got going on is we're our own organization. I don't have, if someone says jump, I ain't got to say how high, right? We could do whatever we want, but I also am trying to support everything. But, you know, a few things we allow, some things we don't. But I'm like, yo, I want to get in this measuring board. I want to stir up the pot because, you know, we got some resources. So we'll see what happens in a few months.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
Jump, bro.
You know what? I'm white. White man can't jump. Sorry, that's my excuse. White man can't jump. My balling days are over, baby.
And Italian too.
I can barely touch like the freaking spring box now. But but I love these types of topics, man. These are fun. And
Yeah.
the thing is, you have to be able to do it with the right group of people, right? Like you can agree to disagree, and at the end of the day, you're still boys, right? When you let this
absolutely, man.
right, when people I've lost friendships over where they fish, like get out of here. Get the frig out of here. Ain't nobody care where you fish.
You forget why you're doing for this in the first place is to relax and to have fun, right?
And that's what it is. And I mean, we're gonna open up a whole nother hole right here, right? So we'll end, but I totally agree, right? Remember, fishing, like, speaking, right? I've never fished. People are like, "Yo, Frank, do you even fish?" I'm like, "Yes, I friggin' fish. Just because you don't see me fishing a national kayak series doesn't mean I don't fish. Like, I direct, I fish a lot, actually. I just don't record. I don't record my adventures. But I guarantee this: you put a camera in my boat, you'll have a fun time. I'll tell you that. But I love these conversations. I think they're healthy. I think they're fun. I know y'all. That's why I brought up some of these conversations. I know how y'all get, and I love it. Like those are like my favorite episodes to listen to sometimes. Because I love to hear everybody's side. Everybody has a different side, and who knows, man? That mega series can come out of these conversations. I think it will. I think there's going to be somebody smart enough or kind of in the back, like watching everything going on, putting these pieces of the puzzle together and saying, y'all waited too long. Here I come. Right. Or something. I don't know. I'm not saying it's us, and I'm not dealing with anybody, but I'm saying it's going to happen. I think it will happen. If it's not next year, the year after, somebody or one of the current top three are going to, be able to get that backing they need and make this explode. And that's great for all of us if it happens, regardless, whoever does it.
Frankie taking over the kayak fishing world. I can see that.
I wish. I would love to. My goal, not this year, I'm just too busy, but my goal next season is to fish a national event. Which one, I don't know, right? I don't know which one, but I would love to do it.
That's one thing, man. I think if you've never fished one, like, get out there and try it. Like, see if it suits your fancy, fishing tournaments aren't for everybody, man. Like, I enjoy fishing them now. Like, I took them way too serious back in the day. Now, if I go fish a tournament, if I catch some fish during the tournament, great. If not, I'm just enjoying being where I'm at, I love just going and exploring new bodies of water wherever they may be, but I think Sean said it best, it was something along the lines of, like, if you keep forgetting why you go to fish, like relaxing and things like that.
Yep.
And I think a lot of tournament anglers forget that sometimes when they have this pressure weighing on them to, like, do good for sponsors or this or that, or for their own personal gain. They forget about fishing, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it, dude. Like, I have way more fun on the water when I'm not fishing for a tournament. That's
absolutely
me.
Yeah,
that's me.
Absolutely. I agree.
Some people, they like that competitive edge and feeling that pressure, man. It gets their blood pumping. Me, not so much anymore. What do I got to prove? I can go out and catch a fish.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one like, right, I know how to fish. I know tournaments, right? I fished plenty of tournaments in my life, but I just want to experience one of these national events. I want to see what it's all about. I want to get a sense for myself. Like, all right, okay, that was, because for me, I'm going to look at it from a director's side. Like, how was it ran?
Sure.
Blah, 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 all that. I'm not trying to, and just meet people that I follow, that we follow on social media. Like, I think that'd be really fun. But at the same time, I just, that's just a goal of mine to be able to do outside of Connecticut. I wouldn't want to fish. I don't want to fish a KBF event in Connecticut. I'd rather fish one outside of my state and really get that real experience, right, of traveling and getting all that and getting the excitement and jitters. But all right, boys, it's 2 hours and 13 minutes here. So I know it's late. I know some of you've been on your feet. I know, right? Some of you've been on your feet for 14 hours. I know you're tired. You got another expo day tomorrow. So let's wrap this up. Obviously, thank you all for coming on, man. It means, I know everybody's busy, right? And we're all in different time zones, whether it's an hour or 2 hour difference. So greatly appreciate y'all coming on. I wish a few of the more of the crew, like Jimmy and Susie and, Jay and Shane, could have popped on and Brad, but it's all right. Maybe next time. But why don't you tell everybody where they can follow you if you got any sponsors, anything like that for the show or personal sponsors, and let it roll. And whoever wants to start.
You can start it, Brian.
Keep it short, Brian.
I'm Chris Slywicka. Brian Schiller. You could follow me on Facebook, Brian Schiller. Obviously, follow the Paddle and Fin Facebook and Instagram, YouTube channel, any major podcast platform. On Instagram, for me personally, it's at b.chiller_. No S, just chiller _. People can figure out all my sponsors.
Nice.
They know who they are, good companies.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
All right. Sweet. All right. Who's up next?
Sean, go ahead.
Mine's real easy. I'm Sean Lavery everywhere, pretty much. Nothing special. Facebook and Instagram. Other than that, you can find me on Pal and Finn's page. I don't really have too many sponsors yet. Not necessarily into it for that game, but open to it. But I'm taking it as it comes. So
nice.
So
awesome.
If you want to sponsor a good dude, fucking reach out to Sean right now.
Whoa,
sorry,
I'm
swearing, Frank. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
That's
Frank.
dude.
It's getting
don't worry.
late, bro.
Our last-
I've let a few slip today.
Our last episode, we got a little tickly, so
All
you're
right,
good.
all right.
You're good.
After
I
10
apologize.
Hooks that hoodlums.
Grumpy Sheila comes out after 10 p.m. You can't feed him.
Dude, it's almost midnight here, bro. It's
I
almost
know.
midnight here.
Yeah.
I got up at like
Yeah.
5:30.
Holy, yeah,
this
you're in
morning.
the same time zone as me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't feed him after midnight.
I know.
So Frankie, man, I appreciate you having me on. So,
Oh,
I got a
absolutely,
burrito, bro.
absolutely, Sean. I appreciate you coming on. He's got the burrito ready for breakfast. Yeah, Sean, it
Yeah.
was nice because I never talked to you before, so that was cool, man.
yeah.
All right, who's up next? The Slywicka?
Yeah, you can follow me. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, pretty much TikTok, Chris Slivka Fishing for all of it. And then, the sponsorships, as far as that goes, I mean, you can find the Paddle and Fin episodes, and then Outdoorsman Coffee is the one of the main ones, in Rocktown Adventures.
So share your coffee code, Chris.
Yeah, it's Slivka 15.
There you go. All right. You want to be a PKA? Start sharing those codes, bro. All right. And last but not least, the Ricky Ricardo of
I forgot about that. I forgot that you called me that. People can follow me on bass.kayak. and beers, or Bass Kayak and Beers. It'll still come up on Instagram and Facebook. My episode comes out every Tuesday morning. Next episode is going to be with Marvin Forte. We're going to be talking about Pacific Northwest, fishing in Oregon, Seattle, Washington, and Idaho. As far as sponsorship, Douglas Rods, right there from upstate New York.
Yeah.
So go check out douglasoutdoors.com. Check out the rods.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, too. Yeah, we got Douglas family here.
Nice. Yeah, Slay Nation, I had talks with Douglas.
I know. It was before Sticks or after the Sticks deal, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Nice. All
They're
right.
a good company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, nothing, not all good things. Just, it was just a timing thing. Kayak. Oh, Brian the Shilla.
Heard that one before.
Heard that one before.
Brian the
DJ,
Chilla, Brian the
DJ,
Killa,
you heard that one. Come up with another
Brian
one. We'll think of
we'll
something.
keep it
We'll
clean.
think of something. All right.
I've been called many names.
All right. Nice. All right, boys. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Working expos. I hope you have a great expo experience and, get new people on the water. All right. And obviously we'll be in touch. Hope everybody has a great season. If you're fishing, whatever you're fishing, right? If you're just fishing for fun, you're tournament fishing. Hope everybody has fun and a successful season. And, all right, real quick. Any new baits you're excited to try you haven't tried yet?
Oh, I got one here. It's called this Icicle.
Real quick. What's it called?
Icicle from Bass Reapers.
Ooh, okay. Okay. There we
Supposed
go.
to be a great drop shot bait.
Okay, nice. Anybody else?
Also,
Google.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Armando.
No, go.
I was going to say Google black bean rig. I just read about it today. I think it's pretty cool.
Black
Black
bean rig.
bean rig.
Yep.
What are you
I'm gonna have
trying
to
on a
Google
coffee
that.
bean?
Just check it out. Trust me.
Okay. Black bean from that burrito? What are we talking about there? Okay. Black bean. I'll have to write that down. All right. Armando and Bri, what do you got?
Ozone lures. I'm excited. I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm excited. I've seen some of the soft plastic. I love, the action on some of those soft plastics. I started using them, so I'm excited to.
What
try
salt
that.
plastics?
Ozone or Exxon.
Exxon?
Exxon.
Okay. Oh, Jim's a good guy over there.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm excited to try. I'm not sponsored by them. No
Okay.
shameless plug. I'm just
Really good
excited.
stuff. Yes,
Yeah.
really good stuff.
I'm really impressed with what they're doing.
Okay.
They're pretty good.
Bri, how about you, man?
Dude, I've been trying to figure out this tube thing, and I keep giving up on it. So the
Okay.
secret lure stupid tube.
It's one of the
know.
best things ever made, Brian.
I
Okay.
know, and like I've talked about it, and like I'll have a good day, and then I won't catch a damn fish for a month. So I'm trying to dial in that tube game this year. So
Okay.
it'll be good.
Awesome. Yeah. A past guest I've had on when I was trying to do something else, Ed Cowan, he fished 2 Bassmaster Classics out of Pennsylvania. He's good friends with Brian Kirchhoff back in the day. And he uses the tube. He puts his tube on his buzz baits. So just something in case instead of doing a frog, do a tube.
That's interesting.
Right? Yes. And you
Interesting.
can do a small tube on smaller buzz baits. Right? So just another way to use the tube. And also, I forgot someone posted the tube on Tokyo rigs, putting a tube on a Tokyo rig, which I thought was cool.
I could see that working because there's people
Yeah.
who
Right?
flip tubes
That
to
got me.
catch.
Yeah, I had to write that one down because I want to. Yeah. So let me know how it goes. All right. Well, listen. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Always
Thank
love
you,
Paddle
man.
and Finn. Love
Thanks,
what you
man.
guys got going on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for having me, man.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
thank
all the
you.
support, Frank.
Yeah,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Frankie.
Likewise.
Thank you, Frankie. Brian,
Absolutely.
tú eres mi amor.
What?
It's me and more.
Oh,
Tú eres
Toast
mi
Motor.
amor.
Just say hasta la pasta. That's what we say, dog. Hasta la pasta. All right. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.
too.
All right.
See ya.
Peace. Oh, there's Chris. Woo! Well, there you go, y'all. Thanks for sticking around. If you stuck around for the almost 2.5 hour live. Listen, I could have done 4 hours of that. Great topics, great crew, great conversations. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. If you have not, please, we're trying to grow our YouTube audience. And hey, don't forget to use the code SLAYWEEKEND for your RoboHawk. Save 20% off this weekend. And hey, stay tuned. Slay Nation hats coming in this week. Get ready for that to be posted on the website. I have 88. They're going to go quick. I'm giving directors first dibs, and then we open it up. If I sell out, I'll put more up. And that's it, y'all. So peace, love, and slay all day. All right, ciao.